I don't think that this has anything to do with Superman.
I don't think so either.
You know, they built this on top of a graveyard, Lois. Seems to be the problem. Lois was doing that stuff with the Native American tribe, but there's no Native American tribe in this. I feel like that always gets conflated with like Pet Sematary.
Is that what it is? Because they were like joking about it. Like it's not like this actually. It's not like it's on Native Grand. And I feel like people are like, oh, so it is. It is then. That's what it is. It's like, no, that's actually not what it is. It's just a graveyard that was never moved. But I think it's also that. And when you see the ghosts, they look like pilgrims.
They look like pilgrims?
Yeah, they look like they have like hats and stuff. At least I thought they did.
They
look like old-timey clothes. It's called, Oregon Trail for a reason.
Because they went to California.
Yeah.
That's right.
They went across the country. That's my point. Be a dick.
It had to be a trope, the Native American burial ground thing back then, right? Because he does say that.
Right.
I always thought it was too. I mean, I knew it wasn't, but like, if you were to hold the gun to my head, I would have probably been like, oh yeah, it was on an ancient Indian burial ground. And it's like, not at all. It's just a regular schmegular cemetery.
Yeah, it's just dead people. That's it.
Just a bunch of deads.
Could be a mix of everybody. Just a bunch of dead people.
Just having a good time.
Yeah, having a good time on the afterlife.
Because Pet Sematary is, and then I don't know if Amityville Horror, I don't think that's anything except the murder just took place in the house.
Yeah, I don't think that it had anything to do with a burial or anything. It was just that there was a murderer and then the
Simpsons parody, which does some Poltergeist stuff. Part. Bad Dream House is the end of this.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's all I'm ready for like the Simpsons, like the house just implodes because it doesn't want to be living with the Simpsons. Make the walls bleed again. No. This house is clean. She was wrong.
Well, we'll get into it. I am Kevin.
And I'm Rachel. No, that just sounds weird. I don't like it. And I'm Rachel.
And this here's Shelf Life, child.
We're broken before we even start.
The alternative to that would be just me going, we're here.
Oh, yeah. We're here.
Yeah, which also would work. That also would be fine. This is a podcast where brother and sister team go through all things pop culture, no matter the genre, be they movies, TVs, books, games, video games, sports entertainment, etc., to determine whether or not the subject at hand belongs on your shelf, both digital and physical. And it's time for spooky season here at Shelf Life. Ooh. Rachel requested that we do more horror movies, and who am I to judge? Who am I to decide whether or not we're able to do more horror movies? So just in time for your spooky season, or if you're listening to this in the future, I assume you're listening to this in around your spooky season, or you
whenever
that
cable. May shall be. It could be the spring. It could be in the middle of the summer. Sometimes I always want a good horror book or, slasher thriller in the middle of the summer. It's great.
It's fine. Rachel, what is up for contention to the shelf today?
Today, we're going into an inner dimension to check out the supernatural in Poltergeist.
Yes, the 1982 Tobe Hooper film, Poltergeist. It is a horror classic, cult classic.
I would say so.
I mean, you're good if it is around the spooky season, around Halloween time. If it's the fall, you're gonna see this on your cables.
It's the only time you're ever gonna
services.
see it. It's for 1 month a year. Poltergeist.
So, okay. All right, let's start there. if you haven't noticed, Rachel and I do these in advance because of the way that we come out with these, because we are busy people. We do this as a hobby. So we're not doing these like a week in advance or whatever.
No, that's too much. Yeah, only this one so far. Yeah.
We were going to do this months ahead of its drop date, and I can't remember if you tried to watch it too.
I went to watch it and it wasn't there. And then you looked because you're like, no, I was just watching it.
Yeah, I was in the middle of watching it. And the clock must have hit midnight, and it just stopped working. Like it froze on screen. Was Craig T. Nelson?
Oh my god!
And the boy talking, and then it just wouldn't go past that point anymore.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
From that point on, we couldn't find this movie. It wasn't streaming anywhere. Which again, folks, this is
the remake.
Rachel watched the remake. You're gonna have to give your prognostication on the remake, because that's not on the list, right?
I don't think it has to be. I think if people, down the line, if people request it, we can talk about it.
People reassess it. They're like, all right, fine. The reasoning for the show about having to have this stuff on your physical or digital collection for yourself, so that you're not dependent on streaming services, you're not dependent on cable. This was prime example of that, because it was behind no streaming service, and we've between the two of us, we have all of them. And then like websites like Groove had a sale, and Poltergeist was on sale, and I was like, should I get it? But I don't really know if it's on the shelf. So if I buy this, but if I buy this, and then what if I'm like, it's not on the shelf, and then I own it? So then I was like, I don't know what to do. So we had to wait. We waited long enough, and we found it again. So here we are. Now we're doing the recording for Poltergeist. Yes. Rachel, was it worth? Well, we'll get into that.
Was it worth it?
I can't say was it worth it. You have to wait 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I'm not telling you right now. You can fast forward, or you can wait. You can listen to this whole damn podcast.
It's time stamped. You can time stamped to the verdict and then go back to the walkthrough. It's fine. I don't care.
It's just me saying yes or no at that time stamp, and then it comes right back here.
Yeah. Rachel, what is Poltergeist about, and what is your history with the movie?
So Poltergeist is about a family who, I don't think they just moved in, but they live in a newer...
Because they say Carol Ann was born in the house.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know if that means literally in the house, or just like that
I think
they were living there.
I don't think she was born in the house. Well, she might have been. They are kind of weird.
But anyways, they're kind of hippies. Yeah.
So it's about a family who is living in this neighborhood that's like being kind of built around it. There's more neighborhoods. There's the dad's part of the realty group building up this area, and all of a sudden weird supernatural things are happening at the house. It takes their child.
Yeah, it's a ghost house.
It's a ghost house.
It's a haunted house story.
Yes.
In modern day 40 years ago suburbia.
Yeah, that's right.
So Rachel, what's your history with the movie? Do you have any?
I don't know if I remember. I don't remember. I probably saw this when I was really young, because I always have like those like little memories of like knowing all of the stuff about Poltergeist and like partially watching it, but I don't have like full on, yes, I remember watching Poltergeist. This was my thoughts about it back then. But I always remember like the lines from it and the characters.
It's one of those that's been it's a part of pop culture.
Yes.
You know it, even if you haven't seen it. At the very least, you do know the lines, and you know the beats or something like that.
Oh,
it's kind of absorbed into the cultural zeitgeist, probably because of the fact that like it plays on cable all the time during Halloween. It's just kind of there,
too. Right? And if it's on, I'll put it on because it's Poltergeist.
Yeah. Do you remember the last time you would have watched it all the way through?
I'm gonna say not too long ago. I'm going to say probably within the last 5 years. I probably have watched Poltergeist for Halloween.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. I could not tell you, because I'm in the similar boat where it's like, I don't know when I first watched this. It's impossible, because it's a cable movie. So it's like one of those things that was just, here it is. Here's Poltergeist. Enjoy. Watch it.
Yes.
Like, it just would be on. So it's very hard to say what your first exposure would have been to the movie. And then there's the satires of it, which we already talked about. Like American Dad and The Simpsons did them. And if Zelda Rubinstein's character doesn't stick in your memory, then I don't know, then you're not a full-blooded American. You're just,
how dare you,
you're not human. There's a lot of it. They're here, like that line alone,
and
like
this house
like that's
is clean.
Yeah,
the
like
second
there's
one.
just those
Both
lines
of those.
that people are gonna remember. But personally, I don't remember the last time I've watched it all the way through. I don't remember how many times I've seen it before, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's on, you catch it. Maybe you watch it a couple of times because it's on cable. And it's like, there's nothing else on. It's spooky season. I'll just have Poltergeist.
Yeah, you have the marathon on, so now it's just on every once in a while while, like, during the entire month.
The funny thing is, Rachel, when I told you, like, I'm going to watch it to, like, whatever night that was, where I was like, I'm going to watch Poltergeist tonight, I flipped on AMC because Horror Fest is on.
You're joking.
And Poltergeist.
Of course it was, because it's not part of the marathon.
I was like, all right, I'll leave it on. I don't have to take notes. I'll just have it on in the background.
Ridiculous.
I feel like it's become a staple. Folks at home, let us know, like, do you think that this is a staple of Halloween at this point, is Poltergeist? We felt like it was, but do you know, Rachel, have you ever heard of the curse, the Poltergeist curse?
The film itself is cursed.
Yes.
I have heard of this, but go on. Enlighten us.
So
I love when movies are cursed. It's great. Well, it's not great, but it's interesting.
For the folks at home that may not have ever heard of this, fellow podcaster Jay Cheel of the Film Junk podcast. I think it's the longest running movie podcast ever. I think that they actually can claim that. I think that they've been doing it since like 2005 or something.
Wow.
Like before podcasts were like, no. But Jay Cheel is one of the hosts of that podcast. It's a funny podcast. It's a good podcast. They go like 2.5 hours long every week. So people have no right to complain to us. He directed a series of documentaries for Shudder called Cursed Films, and there's one about Poltergeist. So suggest to go watch that. It's good because it debunks, in my opinion, the idea that this film is cursed. A lot of the filmmakers are in it, and they're like, this is very insulting when people say that this film is cursed because of what happened to people on it. So the main reason
that's the crazy part. People are just like putting parallels. Yeah. Right.
So the main reason that people say that this film is cursed, I think, is because Heather O'Rourke, I don't know why that's such a hard name to say, is the actress playing Carol. Heather O'Rourke. It's Heather O'Rourke.
Am I saying it wrong?
Yeah, I think so.
Heather O'Rourke. Heather O'Rourke.
Rourke.
Heather O'Rourke. There's an
R-O-U-O'' R-O-U-R-K-E. O'Rourke.
Okay.
Heather O'Rourke.
Yes. It's because she has the R at the end of her name. So it's that Heather O'Rourke. You don't want to do all of that.
Very hard. She's playing Carol Ann. And if you've heard the stories about this, we'll get these are sad stories.
Oh yeah,
folks.
These are sad.
So Carol Ann.
So just like fair warning, sad stories ahead.
I want to discuss the fact that people say this to debunk this because and point to Jay's film, but also to just kind of like briefly mention it, and we won't get into like huge details about it. But the idea is that she died when she was 12 years old, and she was in all three of these Poltergeist movies as Carol Ann.
Which I've never seen the other two. I'm just going to point that out. I'm going to go watch them, but I've never seen the other two.
I have not either. What happened was she got diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and she had to take this like medication for it. It made her cheeks blow up. She had these big chipmunk cheeks in Poltergeist 3. If you watch her, it looks like it's like, why does she look so fat? She's not fat. She's just got big chipmunk cheeks because of the medication. Well, they misdiagnosed her. She did not have Crohn's disease. She had some sort of genetic predisposition to something that caused some sort of sepsis, and it exploded. It had killed her, and she died.
Right.
That was one of the things. The other piece of it was Dominique Dunn, who's playing Dana, the teenage daughter, had a boyfriend who was abusive. She broke it off with him. He came back one day, confronted her, strangled her to death.
Awful.
I don't know how you can claim that the film is cursed because two of the actresses died.
Yeah.
But I understand where
I see where
I
people
understand
are
because it's spooky.
That,
it's a spooky movie, and it's about
Didn't somebody else get
of the
hurt
dead
on set too, though? Wasn't there an injury on set too? I thought that was
part of it. That wasn't part of the documentary when I watched it. I can't recall if that was part of it. I do know that then in the sequels, the shaman who's in Poltergeist 2, he ended up dying of like kidney failure, and then the cult leader that's in the sequels, he ended up dying of cancer as well. So it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, look at it's like, well, think about how many people work on movies.
But that happens all the time. It's like Harry Potter's curse. There's so many people that have died from that, but it's just the way it kind of happens. Well, that's, I guess, because now it's so old, nobody cares. But it's like with with this one, it happened a little bit sooner.
They all died around the timing of the filming and stuff. So but I do suggest watching that because now one of the reasons people say that it was cursed was because they used real skeletons in the pool scene.
I forgot about that. I forgot about
freaked
that.
out, but very good part of the documentary is Shield got the set designer of Poltergeist to talk about it. Or I remember who's the set designer. Apologies, I can't remember what his position was. But he talks about it, and he talks about how the B movies of the 30s used skeletons. Frankenstein used a skeleton. House on Haunted Hill used a real human skeleton. Because they're cheaper than making somebody build a skeleton.
That's very interesting.
So they would get skeletons.
I feel like at this point they just can 3D print a skeleton and they're good to go.
Yeah. Apparently it got so bad that Zelda Rubinstein did a interview where she talked about how it's insulting to Caroline, to Heather and Dominique's legacies to be like saying that they were cursed.
Sure.
It's like, no, these are things that happen to people.
I feel like
these
they
are
just
real
kind
people.
of say that about every old movie, because didn't they say Exorcist is cursed too? So like
Exorcist
they
is
say
cursed,
everything
The
is
Omen
cursed.
is cursed. All of these old
Wizard
horror
of
movies
Oz was cursed.
Curses.
So there's a lot of curses.
Yeah.
They're just throwing around curses left and right.
But that's why he has a documentary series called Cursed Films, right? Like that's the idea.
That.
But this is one of those.
Watch it.
Now, Rachel, Tobe Hooper as a director.
Okay.
You've seen a couple of his movies. You've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, of course.
Yes.
Did you think? Because I know you've seen the credits, but you probably blocked them out of your mind.
Probably.
Did you think that it had a touch of another potential director to it at all? Did it feel like a movie we've watched already on Shelf Life? 1982.
Right. What are you getting
Northern
at here?
California.
Animal Farm.
Suburban family. Yeah, it's Animal Farm. That's what I'm getting at. Do you think it feels a bit like a Steven Spielberg film? I want you to think about this. I mean, you can think about it while we're in the walkthrough too. But
okay, go on.
So I don't know if you noticed in the credits, the first credit and the first credit end credit is produced by Steven Spielberg.
Interesting. Steven
Spielberg wrote the screenplay and the story and produced the film. Tobe Hooper directed it. This is a Spielberg script and story.
I don't know if it felt like a Spielberg.
See, it's hard because I know
there's
that.
Parts,
but I think it has a Spielberg feel.
I could see what you're getting at, but other stuff I'm like.
The other controversy about the movie is that this is actually a Spielberg directed. Tobe Hooper didn't really direct it, which I don't believe at all. There's parts of this that are very, very Tobe Hooper. This is a Steven Spielberg project. So apparently Steven Spielberg was on set a lot. And I think that he was directing Tobe in certain ways of like, this is what I'm thinking, or this is like my vision. This is what I'm thinking. And Tobe Hooper is the kind of guy that will be like, okay, I can do that.
Right.
I'm gonna put my little spin on it maybe, but I can do that.
Right.
So
maybe that's Spielberg, why I can see where it goes into the Spielberg. But it does feel like it holds back a little bit for me. I don't know. For me, it felt like it held back a little bit from the Spielberg. If that,
it
that's
does.
A way to explain it.
It holds back from being full Spielberg.
Spielberg.
I think Tobe Hooper would have made this darker.
Oh, I kind of wish
totally
it did go a little darker. I wish he kind of dived in a little bit more. But
yeah, well, I think that's the Spielbergness of it. So this film originally got an R rating, and then the two of them fought to get it to PG.
Interesting.
Spielberg had written that. We talked about it a little bit on E.T., that idea called Night Skies or whatever the hell that one was called. See the back catalog for E.T., folks. where it was a script or a story where aliens were going to come down and be malevolent and like attack the family.
Ah, right.
So he was like, I don't want to do that. I want to do E.T. He wanted to do a more softer side that dealt with divorce and everything like that. But he also wanted to do something with Tobe Hooper. I guess back then, as it should be now, creatives would say they want to work together and come up with projects and pitch them to the studios, and then they would do them, as opposed to now, which is, here's the IP, go make it, you little shit. Go slop it up, pig. Make us our movie. And I'm sure that some of them try to do that now.
That makes sense,
you know. So they wanted to do something together, and Spielberg approached Tobe Hooper with this idea that he had for Night Skies. So it was supposed to be about malevolent aliens attacking the family. And Hooper said, why don't we do like a haunted house instead? And we make it like a modern day ghost story. Okay. And Spielberg was all for it. So the initial idea, I guess, was like a combination of the two of them. At least that's what I've read. I know that there's the history of this movie is all fuzzy and stuff. Who did what, Hooper or Spielberg? Mm-hmm. Spielberg writes the script. He has Michael Grace and Mark Victor assist on the script. He gets Frank Marshall as another producer. Hooper wanting to collaborate with Steven would be like, that's great. Like, it's almost like it was like Steven's vision, but then Hooper would put his directorial spin on things. Like you don't get some of the stuff in this without Tobe Hooper doing it.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to be the way it is. So I guess in the script, the family was a little crasser with each other. It seemed they didn't seem like as loving. And I think Hooper changed that a little bit in the direction. You can see where that would come from. Spielberg is always about divorce. And Hooper,
Spielberg is more about like the broken family. So I can kind of see how maybe that's one of the reasons I'm going, this isn't that Spielbergian. Like, the family loves each other.
But the family really does remind me of a Spielberg family. Like, they have that same kind of tone and stuff like that.
Where they are, like, close and they still, like, do love each other. And it's all about love. It's all about love.
It's about love, child. You gotta all love each other. The directors...
Sorry.
Spielberg... That's where the controversy comes, because it's like, oh, he just contractually couldn't say that he was directing Poltergeist, but he really was. And most people say that it was Tobe Hooper. Some of the cast and crew even said it was Spielberg, though, and it might just have been who was doing more action that day.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it was just dependent on the scene. Like, if somebody was able to come in, or like, hey, I'm stopping in, or even day, like I'll do it.
Like Zelda Rubinstein said that she thought that Steven was doing way more of the direction, and it was like maybe he just had a very clear idea of what he wanted your character to be, or something. Like, I don't know. He did get Jerry Goldsmith to do the score, and this score to me is a Steven Spielberg movie score, in my opinion. It has that tone to it.
Sure.
It's Jerry Goldsmith. It's not like it's John Williams, but it sounds like Jerry Goldsmith. He actually got nominated for Best Original Score for this. He lost to E.T. So, yeah. And then the only other thing to mention is it does feel like they also took inspiration from a lot of different things that already existed at the time, not including Little Girl Lost, the Twilight Zone episode where the little girl gets stuck on the wall, parodied brilliantly in The Simpsons. Homer gets stuck in the wall. They make the movie. It comes out. Let's see, was it a hit when it first came out? It had a budget of $10.7 million and it made $121.7 million. So it was a big hit. It's considered a big movie at the time. Of course, it makes its 2 sequels and things like that. Mm-hmm. The house that is in the movie is a real house. They filmed at a
felt like a
location.
Real house.
It wasn't owned by anyone yet. It was like new construction.
Oh, so that's even funnier. That's perfect.
Before someone bought it. And then I guess the guy, at least as of like 2020 or whatever, the person that bought it after they were done with the filming still owns it. And
That's funny.
So like Sheil in the documentary puts people will go to the house and be like, look, it's the Poltergeist house, and I cannot imagine. I guess you'd have to own it if you lived there for 4 decades, but it would be annoying to watch all these
you know how much money they could get off of that house now.
True. That's true.
All they have to do is say it's the Poltergeist house. Millions. I mean, it's California anyway, so millions and billions of dollars.
It's $1 billion house. Steven Spielberg stood here once.
Tiny suburban.
I can't tell how big this house is. It looks big on
4
the
bedrooms?
outside. Yeah, it's just one of those weird 1980s.
4, even though the kids are staying in the same room.
It's 3 because I think, right? It's gotta be because the two of them
I think it's 3 because they're in the
bedroom.
same room, which is large. And then I think there's an office
hallway.
room. Yeah, that weird hallway.
Because there's that hallway, but then there's
the downstairs is great. With the tall ceilings and everything. It's beautiful.
Very tall ceilings.
It's great.
Yes.
I love tall ceilings.
At this point, people know it. You know the beats. You've seen the parodies. You've seen Poltergasm or Poltergeist or Bad Dream House. That's the American Dad episode. It's called Poltergasm.
Kevin, it just sounds like it could be a porn.
I'm sure there is.
No.
Poltergasm also, I'm sure, is a porno out there. There's that one scene in this
Please don't
where
look it up.
sort of applies.
Please don't look it up.
Scary Movie, I think Scary Movie did a Poltergeist scene where that is what happens.
Absolutely.
When Diane's get on the bed.
That's the same thing with Ghostbusters.
I have a lot of Ghostbusters jokes to make when we get through the walkthrough, too. Don't worry about it, folks. So the question is, after all of this time, after all of this legacy that this movie has, we are here to find out one thing. And that is, does Poltergeist have shelf life? Rachel, anything else before we hit the break?
I am thoroughly prepared to do a lot of voice acting.
I'm actually probably gonna go get some water. After the break, a word from our fake sponsor. We will walk through Poltergeist, child. We'll be right back. Strange things happening in your home. Cold spots, flickering lights, eerie sounds in the middle of the night. You're not alone.
I'm Tangina Barrons. I've spent a lifetime communicating with the other side, and now I'm here to help you.
The most extraordinary psychic of our age, Tangina Barrons, is back, and she's here to help you. Join Tangina every week as she investigates the most haunted locations, confronts restless spirits, and brings peace to those plagued by the paranormal. No ghost is too stubborn, no haunting too dark.
We'll get through this together, child.
Tune in to Tangina Barrons, Ghost Hunter. Each episode brings you closer to the unknown, traveling across the country investigating haunted homes, cursed objects, and places that still echo with the voices of the dead. Every episode is a new mystery.
Come with me into the light, children. I don't just clean spaces, I reclaim them.
Fridays at midnight, or contact Tangina directly at 1-800-CLEAR-SPIRITS. Visit TanginaBarrons.com to schedule your consultation.
They're here, but not for long.
Warning, phone number and website are not real, as this is not a real ad. And we're back.
We're back.
She says that in the second one, maybe?
We're back?
Or the ghosts say that in the second one or third one.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's... No.
So, yes, we are here. June 4th, 1982, the release date for Poltergeist. We are here 40-plus years later. Obviously, it's 40-plus years later. It's 40-some odd years later that we are doing this episode. Rachel, are you ready to dive right into Poltergeist?
Let's dive right in. Let's do this.
Okay. Let me turn on not channel 3, anything but channel 3, so that I get some static in here, so that I can get some real atmosphere.
Yeah, we need to get some static.
Just change the channel. So let's dive right in. The movie begins with the entirety of the national anthem.
Yes!
It plays in full.
And
it comes up and it says Poltergeist as the national anthem plays. Did you find yourself like... What did you say?
An outlined script.
Oh,
I
that's
guess
the
it's
font
not
you're
script,
saying for
it's
Poltergeist?
just outlined. Yeah, don't worry about it. Move on. It's fine.
Did you find yourself humming along to the national anthem as it played?
A little bit.
On the screen there?
A little bit, yeah. And I was like, are they going to play the whole thing? Like, it just kept going.
I did not expect
kept
it to be the
going.
entire thing. Was it like we have to? Like if you use it, you got to use the whole thing or something?
Maybe.
Do we have to explain?
I think we have to
our
explain.
International listeners and our younger listeners. So I don't even think by the time that you and I were around, Rachel.
It never did this.
Back in the day. Back before our time. Back in the day, sit around, everyone, and gonna tell you a little story, child.
It's story time, child.
All right, I wasn't gonna do her voice, mention Zelda Rubinstein or anything until she appears on screen.
Okay,
but
okay,
it's
fine.
impossible.
We won't do it.
No, it's impossible. It is not. I can't physically do it. It will hurt me inside not to do it. Back in the day, prior to cable, channels that were on your television, and I'm sure if anybody has parents, grandparents, or otherwise, they will tell you that there were 3 channels. I think there were probably like 4 or 5, but there were the 3 channels. At the end of the day, instead of showing infomercials or advertisements for pornography or whatever any of these things do at 3 o'clock in the morning when there's nothing but derelicts awake, or people that are listening to Shelf Life.
They might be watching Poltergeist at 2 in the morning. You don't know.
They might be. or they might work at night or something. I don't know. Whatever. They used to show nothing. They used to turn off the broadcast.
They would just turn it off. That's it. They turned it off.
And at the they did. They turned
That's literally it. They turned it off. There was somebody always monitoring it, and they would turn it off at the end of their shift.
Would flip the switch and say, "We're done.
Yep.
I'm going
and that
home."
was the end of your broadcast day. That was how it ended. I was surprised that didn't get said here. And that's it.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Oh no, it doesn't, because it just starts with the national anthem. Yeah. That's how every day would end. It would end with the national anthem playing, and then and
it would go to white noise.
That's it. Static. Nothing. That had to be that. I can't imagine a world where that would happen, because we have nothing but cable channels, and you have movies that play all night. Now, the thing that it did replace it, I feel like, with a lot of cable channels, is that they have paid advertising at like 4 in the morning. So if you're ever up, or you come back from a bar or whatever at 3 in the morning, some stuff will still have things playing, but I feel like some other stuff is like, fuck it, put ShamWow on, put the knife advertising on, which I always wonder, like, who are you selling to that you got ad space at like 3 in the morning?
You never know. People who have no control of their wallet at 3 in the morning. It's 3 in the morning. They're exhausted. They have insomnia, and they're like, I'm buying everything I see. That's who. All
right, that's fair. Well, I just think that it'd be kind of fun to go back to that, but at the same time, you just can't, because you can access streamings.
Right, so then TV ends, but then you just go to streaming.
You have to get to your streaming, folks. We're done. Cutting you off.
We're cutting you off for the day, at least on cable.
Someone falls asleep in a chair and had some food. They drop it out of their hand, and a dog, golden retriever, is that what he is? I think he's a golden retriever.
I believe so. Yes.
He promptly takes it.
Grabs his
and
food.
They make this very clear. This is Spielbergian, I think, Rachel, where the dog has a nightly routine, it seems, where he walks around the house grabbing the scraps of anyone that's fallen asleep. So we get the layout of the house.
He introduces you to everybody.
Yeah. The dog kind of takes it around. The dog's name, E-Buzz, really bothers me that his name is E-Buzz.
I don't understand that. I don't understand. Why is it E-Buzz?
I don't know. Folks at home, why is it E-Buzz? I did not bother to look it up.
Because Buzz, fine. Why E-Buzz? E-Buzz.
E-Buzz.
It's like E.T. and Buzz Aldrin. I don't get it.
Okay, well, I just went to moviepause.com.
Aww. That sounds cute. Is it all about the puppies and cats and stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
Aww.
This one is our favorite movie dogs, E-Buzz in Poltergeist.
Why?
Let's see if this says.
Why is he named E-Buzz? At first I thought the kid was just saying something and then said Buzz, and I was like, all right, Buzz. And then all of a sudden I realized, no, it says it's E.Buzz. What?
The dog's name, here it is, Rachel. The dog's name came from a Saturday Night Live skit in which Dan Aykroyd played an art critic named E. Buzz Miller.
Okay.
I don't know. It's the 80s.
But why?
maybe he just thought it was something that these kind of parents would do. I don't know. Very strange. I'm just going to call him Buzz. I'm not going to call him E-Buzz. I'm just going to call him Buzz.
It's so weird.
Buzz takes you around. E-Buzz takes you around to the house. You get introduced to the characters. This is clearly something that he does every night. He enjoys going around and picking up people's scraps. We get the mom first, and it looks like Buzz didn't have anything to eat there, so he's like...
Yeah, he's just looking around, sniffing.
but she's got nothing there. Then to the teenage girl's room.
Yes.
She was sleeping on top of a bag of chips.
Yes.
He knows this. So he licks her face to get her to move, and then takes the bag of chips.
Cleverly. Takes the bag of chips, but leaves this trail of crumbs and chips the entire way.
Yeah, well,
And all over the bed.
He grabs something from the boy. I couldn't tell exactly what he grabbed from the boy, but he chomps something from him.
Yeah, immediately eats it. I have no idea what it was because it was in the shadows.
It's had to be candy or something. And then checks the girl before leaving.
Yes.
Like he just goes up, he sniffs her face, and then he leaves.
Her hand, yeah.
The little girl has this like seashell bed. It's
like a
right,
tree.
like her.
I think it's like a tree or like peacock feathers. I think it's like a tree or peacock feathers.
I thought it was like a seashell, but all right, that also
all of
fits
that
the
has
motif.
that shape. There you go.
It's all the same shape.
Every single one of them is.
It's fine.
I'm actually think it's the peacock feathers now, but it's white. So
she does have an eerie look about her, Carol Ann. We might as well get into this right now.
Okay.
Everyone in this family has brown hair. Every one of them, except for Carol Ann, who is a platinum. Yes. Her hair is like white blonde.
Yes.
Okay. So she stands out as an outlier of the rest of this family.
Oh, did they do that on purpose? They must have done that on purpose.
So. I think that had to be kind of deliberate.
She's part of the living and the dead.
Well, I think it was deliberate. It feels deliberate that she looks so. Different.
Or they just liked this character so much, this actress so much, they're like, fuck it, who cares?
Well, I have a feeling that too, because
and the other two kids, their hair turned brown long before. Like she's just the younger one. Like they all had blonde hair as little kids.
That or Diane Fleming has something to
or that too,
something to say.
You're right? Yeah. I don't know. They've been together since they were 16, and they had the first girl. So
yes, you caught that.
I caught that immediately. We both were like, "Gotta do the hold on. Let me do the math for a second." There, when you just said she's 32 and the kid's 16. I'm like, oh.
I was giving him the benefit of the doubt and being like, maybe she's 15, but that doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, clearly they.
Clearly they were high school sweethearts.
Yeah, having a good time.
No judgment, just was surprised.
When they said she was 32, that was another one of those things, Rachel, where as I get older, I'm just like, fucking hell, these characters that are younger than me and have like a teenage daughter. And I'm like, what is wrong with everything?
Yeah. I felt it too.
Jo Beth Williams, who plays Diane, the mom, was born in 1948. So that when this came out, she would have been 34, 35. Right. So about right. Craig T. Nelson, on the other hand, Coach himself, Rachel.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Playing Steven. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Anyway.
All right, where the hell were we? We haven't even got.
I don't know. We haven't even got anything. You just started talking about all the actors because of her blonde hair.
So Carol Ann wakes up in bed, I guess unprompted, or because of E-Buzz, or because she hears the TV or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She almost walks down the stairs. Yes, almost sleepwalkish. The static is illuminating on the TV screen as she walks toward it, so that's all you're like hearing. A lot of flashing
lights in this movie.
The lights in this movie are crazy. I mean, that's clearly part of the aesthetic that they're giving you. So like this little 1982 TV would not give off this much light unless it's like irradiated.
They kind of did.
So?
Yes, because Dad would always leave the TV on all night, you know? And so you could see, if you had your door open, the lights were like bright, I thought, coming from their bedroom.
Okay. Well, because I guess these were actual like light bulbs as opposed to like little LEDs like now where it's a softer image. Sure.
Maybe not as much. This is very strobe light, but yes,
Yeah, this is more. This is enhancing.
This is way more.
But that's the idea, right? Like it's supposed to be like you have the creepy tree in the backyard, and this one looks like creepier, and you have the creepy this.
It's
creepy
like
toy,
it's all happening from
so
a child's perspective.
Yeah, which is interesting because I feel like
it's actually Craig T. Nelson's like perspective.
Yes, it flips from the parents' perspective to the kids' perspective back to the parents' perspective.
So you kind of get like the scares for both, but then all of a sudden you realize, oh wait, it's actually all connected. It's actually happening type of thing, maybe.
Which could make it feel a little uneven, I suppose, too. Which it does at points, I think. So she says, hello, and sits in front of the TV, and the TV's going nuts. And she starts asking the static questions. The score is whimsical. I don't think it always fits the tone. I think sometimes the score is right on, and sometimes I think it's a little too Steven Spielberg-esque.
Yeah, like it needs to be a little bit more
you
ominous.
Didn't know the difference, right? Like, yeah.
Well, I thought the music wasn't like ominous enough. Like I was gonna say that I felt like it needed to be spookier. Like it was already kind of spooky, a little creepy, a little weird, but I wanted more ominous. I wanted to like feel my skin crawl from the music.
Exactly. She starts yelling louder at it, and it wakes up the whole house, and they all walk down the stairs now, and the dad is just looking on, and she tells the TV that she's 5 years old, because she goes, 5?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. That would creep me out. That would creep me out.
Yes. Okay.
If my kid is just staring at the fuzz and just going, I don't know, 5. Yeah.
I know kids do this kind of stuff. Mom always tells a story of, she thinks that I was just trying to ask who was on the TV because I apparently, before you were born, she was like on the phone or something, and I walked into the kitchen or whatever, and I went, Mommy, who's that? And she was like, who? And she's like, that guy, that man, or whatever. And she like freaked out and thought like somebody walked into the house. Like clearly I was probably just like, who's on the TV? Or whatever.
I would probably assume. But yeah, that would scare me too. Like, where? Show me.
I know kids do this. I know kids make imaginary friends or they talk to things that aren't real and shit like that. And God help me. I guess you just get used to it as a parent. I'd be Homer behind the mattress with the shotgun because that's where my head would go. I'd be like, I don't want to alarm you, but there may be boogeyman in the house. Like, that's what I would be thinking. But they're all sitting there. They're watching this. She puts her hand on the TV.
Yes. And
you get the very iconic shot of her little towheadness sitting in front of the TV. It's the poster. It's what we all know. If you look up Poltergeist, this is the first scene. He's got her hands on the TV. It's beautiful. It makes a lot of sense. And then that's the end of the scene. It's a bit abrupt.
It's kind of abrupt.
Which happens a few times in this. And the opening credits happen. It's tranquil music, and we see that this serene Northern California suburb looks a lot like Elliot's suburb. In fact, it does.
You're right.
The poltergeist is happening in this neighborhood. The 2 towns over, there's an alien that's
landed.
Attacking. It's
yeah, that makes sense.
So many problems.
See, now that you pointed that out, that's all I'm going to be thinking about.
They came out a week apart. Like, can you imagine? It's like, this is the same setting.
One is aliens, the other is supernatural. Ghosts.
Yeah,
I mean, but
like
the abruptness of that scene with this next scene, I'm okay with, just because it is kind of like that was a weird anomaly. Moving on. So I'm okay with that abruptness here.
Well, and that's what Diane eventually thinks it is. Like, we get a scene later on where Diane thinks that Carol Ann was sleepwalking because she slept walk. So she thinks that it's just like something that's happening, something that she's doing.
Right. Which part of me was like, did you also see ghosts as a child? And they just kind of, like, brushed it off for on you?
No, I don't think that's what happened. I don't
think
that's... No. I think that... We'll get into that in a few. So we see images of the neighborhood from afar. There's some that I thought they looked like miniatures. I don't think that they were miniatures, but it almost looks like miniatures.
Yeah, I think it's just the way it's shot. It looks like miniature houses and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be because it's like so proper, angelic, or idealistic.
Maybe.
That it looks like miniatures. A middle-aged dude on a bike with a case of beer is chugging along these windy streets, sweating his ass off.
Where, a tree is just growing in the middle of the road.
There was? I did not see that. You don't remember that? No.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing a tree in the middle of the road.
It's literally in the middle of the road. It's an old-ass tree, right? Because it's huge. And they just decided, that's all right, we'll just build around it.
I feel like that's
just
kind
a whole,
of part
like a
of,
circle.
That maybe that's part of the thing, because Steven tells Robbie at some point, like when he's talking about how he doesn't like the tree, Steven says, like, no, that tree was here for like hundreds of years, right, and we wanted to build right next to it. So maybe that's part of this whole neighborhood.
Where, like, there are
was,
some
like,
of those
selectively
trees.
Building the trees.
Maybe they left some of the trees because they were so old, and which is
I did
nice.
not see a tree though in the middle of the road.
Yeah, it was right there. It's not the lemon tree, but you definitely could ride around it like that, right there.
Okay. That's very odd.
Yeah.
And it looks like a very unsettling.
It's very
unsettling though too. Yeah. Like it feels like it's there on purpose.
Yeah. It feels kind of ominous, especially since it is like the fall, I'm assuming, or winter, because like the tree has no leaves at all.
The street with the tree in the middle of the road is in the same area on Rustling Oaks Drive between Old Carriage Court and Hollow Oak Court. The tree has since been removed, and a couple of new trees have been planted in its place. So I guess that was really there, too. What the hell were we doing in the 80s? So anyway...
I kind of like it. It's kind of like a median, but here's a tree,
Yeah. Here, hit this tree instead of hitting a median.
Roundabout, I would put a roundabout there, because then you could roundabout with the tree.
Okay, folks, now Rachel is playing City Skylines, so she's talking about how 100%. You should put a roundabout. This middle-aged guy's on the bike. A couple of kids are playing with remote control cars, and they sick the cars on him. These are little shit children. These are little bastards. They're awful.
Yes.
For no reason. They're just like, let's fuck with this old man.
Yes.
Yeah. So this guy's clearly late for the game, and they get the cars to like run through his tires, and they cause him to spill out, and he drops all the beer, and the beer goes everywhere. Didn't seem to mind. The guy was like, he doesn't even go like, "You damned kids" or anything like that.
I think he wanted to, but he was just like, I gotta get to the game. The beers are spraying everywhere, but I gotta get to the game. I'm missing it. I think that's literally what it was.
These kids could have been Little Village of the Damned kids.
Honestly, absolutely.
But they're very, very triumphant about it. We get an image of the house. The house is nice, as we've talked about. It's a nice looking house. The big tall ceilings and everything.
Just spraying
they're all watching
everywhere.
Yeah, and none of them care. Steven doesn't care. None of them care.
Because the big game is on.
Again, I felt like a lot of this family stuff felt Spielbergian. Like it has that suburb feel that Spielberg put in E.T. and put in Close Encounters. It has that feel to it.
Sure.
They're watching the Rams game. Rams are playing the Falcons, which makes sense. The LA Rams.
All right,
so,
Perfect.
Yeah. The family is going about a regular Sunday afternoon. The mom is picking up some stuff in the kids' room.
You mean the Star Wars? Oh, the Star Wars sheets and his Star Wars action figures?
Oh, well, Steven, I know that you're producing a movie with Toby, and I thought maybe you could put a little Star Wars in there to help boost the sales of Return of the Jedi.
Star Wars!
Rachel, come on, that makes it authentic.
I mean, it's like E.T.
This kid would have Star Wars shit.
It's just like E.T.
Yeah, because George,
I bet they're friends.
I want to use some Star Wars
I bet they're
stuff.
school friends. Him and Elliot.
They are.
No.
Oh, you think that? I thought you meant Steven and George. You mean Robbie and Elliot?
I meant Robbie and Elliot. Who is Steven
Are they
and George?
around the same age?
Just saying. I don't know.
I guess they're around the same age. I can't tell how old Robbie is supposed to be. He's the question mark for me. I guess he's like 10?
8.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Because Dana is 16, Robbie is 8, and Carol Ann is 5.
Okay. All right. So maybe they are around the same age. I think Elliot's a little older.
He might be a little older.
Yeah, they could be.
Yeah.
They go to different schools. That makes sense that he has the Halloween or the Star Wars stuff.
No, it
does.
Kids would
have had that.
I get it. But it was just very Star Wars.
Yes.
You remember?
It's very in your face. Yeah. They were already doing it then.
Damn it.
Trying to make, Diane notices that the pet bird has died.
Yes.
Tweety.
I love her line here, though. Couldn't you have done this on a school day?
Well, her first reaction is to make sure no one is looking, too, and is like, shit.
Well, because you don't want, it's hard on a kid. I get it.
Yeah, okay. But do you think it would have... Okay, so I remember I was probably it was before you were born when we had the pet rabbit.
Yeah, I never had a rabbit. You had the rabbit.
And the bunny died. And I did not see that I don't think I saw that the bunny died. They just told me after that the bunny died. I could not tell you if I remember that because I was 2 or 3 years old. Do you think it would be better? Folks at home, let us know. What's better? Let them see that the animal died or tell them later that the animal died?
I think it depends on the age. I think it's going to depend on the age and understanding and having to go through all of that.
Because Diane's reaction
I always remember seeing
flush...
when my fish would die. That was very upsetting. I didn't like.
Well,
when my
Carol
fish
Ann's
died.
going to kill these
sad.
goldfish too.
Yeah, well,
she's
she was very excited
them way
about
too
them.
much. Well, okay, so Diane's.
She goes to flush the damn bird down the toilet. All right, wrong,
folks.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Even if the kid isn't going to care or whatever, you're going to cause problems in the plumbing.
Yes.
Don't do that. But Carol Ann catches her.
Yes.
And she's like,
yeah.
And of course,
now that's traumatizing.
I like that little bit. Yeah,
where the mom turns is like, oh shit. That's the look on her face.
I did like that little bit. As they're watching the game, all the guys downstairs, they clearly bet on the game. They talk about how much money they have on the game and stuff. And unlike today, where gambling is the only thing that sports care about, back then it was illegal. So you're getting an idea of that, all of his buddies are bookies and stuff. In fact, the one guy's on the phone. He's clearly placing bets while he's on the phone or watching the game. Yeah. And suddenly the channel changes to Mr. Rogers. And then he changes it back.
Product placement.
And then it goes back to Mr. Rogers. You're getting a little bit of an idea of who Craig T. Nelson's character is here. Mm-hmm. He says that the neighbor is on the same remote. And I was like, is that a thing? Was that something that would happen?
Yeah. I think I don't know if it happens quite as much, but I think it can still potentially happen in apartments and things. Or it used to happen in apartments a lot because if you had the same remote or if you had the same type of TV and it was a universal remote, it would potentially connect to the other TVs and it would change channels and stuff.
I remember a couple times at home once in a while back in the day it would happen where if you did change the channel upstairs it would change the channel downstairs. Yes. But that didn't happen that frequently,
right? But it did happen.
I wondered if this was one of those, is something supernatural happening but then there's a scientific explanation for it and they're getting you ready for that kind of a debate. Which does not happen in this movie at all.
No.
But I thought maybe they could
that
be setting you up for that. The dad goes outside and the neighbor, his name is Ben, and he's a big slob. Except you don't I think that's what they're trying to make him seem like, and he just seems like a guy that doesn't really like Steven. That's the way that this looks.
Yeah, he's kind of a slob. But then he's got a big cigar in his mouth and stuff, and he's kind of
it's the cigar, and then in the one scene he's eating beans or some shit, and he has this little Pugsley child too. Right. So you get the idea. You know what they're coding this as. But they have a little fight with the remotes, changing the channels back and forth. And then I couldn't tell if he's doing this purposely funny. He's click, 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 clicking it as he goes back in the house. I don't know. There's got to be a way that you can fix that so that it doesn't do that.
Because that's so annoying.
Robbie, who is the boy, is looking at this Tim Burton tree. This tree
100%
is straight out of a Tim Burton
tree.
movie.
I agree.
That's what this is.
Yes.
Tim Burton saw Poltergeist and was like, I'm going to put that tree in everything.
That is such a weird tree. It is like a poorly done amusement park tree where you're like, that's a fake tree.
It's this giant... Can you describe this tree, Rachel, other than it's a Tim Burton? Folks at home, if you've ever seen a Tim Burton movie, just picture if I say Tim Burton tree, you got it. That's what it is. But Rachel, please describe what this is.
The tree feels really thick, right?
Oh, yeah. It's so thick.
And, like, the branches are thick
Tree's
and
got
round.
a big, thick ass. Yeah, it does.
It's really
it has
hard
giant
to explain,
round
but like
branches.
that's what it is. It's like really thick and round. It has no like texture. It has texture, but it's like all the same color texture, and it's like that's not a tree. And then there's these little twigs coming out of it too, which don't even make any sense to be coming out of it because it's got like these weird branches. But it's just such an odd tree. And at one point I was like, does it have a face? Looking at a face.
I don't know if it had
like
a
it's
face.
an Ent now.
I guess
Turns
at some
into
point
an
you
Ent.
kind of
Tell
learn
me
that
it
sort
doesn't.
of does. Yeah. Carol Ann makes the mom have a funeral for Tweety, so they get a cigar box, and they put Tweety inside.
Cute. That's kind of
cute. And Carol Ann is like, he won't like it in there because it smells.
Which is
so
fair.
I
understand.
That is fair. Yeah. So she gets him a flower, a picture of them.
It's very cute.
It's actually sweet. It's very sweet. It gives you an idea that, like, it's a very kiddie way of talking about, like, we're going to be talking about the afterlife, kind of in this, right?
Right. But then she does like a 360 or a 180. She does a 180.
Well,
oh no, that's later.
Yeah, so they go outside and they go to bury the bird. The dog even attends. E-Buzz is standing there. I was like, is the dog thinking he's going to eat
there's a
bird?
Twizzler. It might want the Twizzler.
Yeah. Caroline does a little prayer, and Dana...
She does the lay me down to sleep prayer, which is like the one from Freddy Krueger, which is what it reminded me of.
Well, Caroline could have been a Freddy Krueger girl.
She really could have.
She has that look.
She really could have. And like the sister laughs at her, and it's like, that's just mean. Don't be an ass.
Sister rolls her eyes. Yeah.
This is the prayer
but
she
she's
knows.
A teenage
this is
girl.
the one she knows to say.
She's a teenage girl, though. She's got that.
She's angsty and annoying. Like all teenage girls.
She cares about Carol Ann, though.
Yes.
She's
absolutely.
shown to care about her.
But she's angsty and annoying, just like all teenage girls.
Dog immediately digs him up. Like, immediately goes to dig him up. And the mom is like, E-Buzz, get out of there. Like, trying to, like, shoo him away. Because to your point, Rachel, he's either like the Twizzler, or I want to eat the bird, or I want to throw her around, or whatever.
Right.
And then the little girl turns to the mom and says,
"Can I get a goldfish now?" Like, well, hey, she did her morning. She feels better. It made her feel better.
It made her feel better to do the morning. Yeah, exactly.
Now, at the same time, the kid is up in this tree, and the mom's like, "Oh my god, get out of the damn tree!" And Robbie sees like the most ominous
CGI
storm coming in. So fast, like that was rolling. Those clouds were rolling in.
A very supernatural looking storm is coming in. We cut right to then Carol Ann has goldfish. So presumably they went to the store, bought a couple of goldfish.
Oh yeah.
She's horribly overfeeding them, like we just said. Do not overfeed your goldfish, folks. They'll die immediately because they don't know when to stop.
They don't. They also don't have like a good filtration system in that little bowl, so it would really be bad.
It's storming, and we see the creepy tree from their room, so the lightning illuminates it. So again, you're getting the lighting in this movie by having the lightning illuminate the tree, and it looks like veins and creepy, and the branches are like
it looks like a monster.
Shadows.
Yeah, like arms and.
This is where it looks like a face is on the stumps and branches to me.
Right.
I thought
it looks like
were all
ghoulish,
good...
like faces.
Yeah.
Like
good visuals in this. I thought this felt like Tobe Hooper.
Okay.
Like if we're gonna go back and forth and be like, who's Spielberg, who's Hooper? I was like, this has to be Tobe Hooper. Like that. This feels like him.
Poor Robbie is like afraid of storms too, so this is not helping.
The fucking tree.
Yeah, the tree is creepy as shit. Close
insane.
The blinds.
Diane comes in and puts the kids to sleep. Question, Rachel.
Okay.
And I want to know this from you folks at home. Did kids fall asleep with their hats on back in the day? Because I cannot tell you that I have ever, in my life, gone to bed proper with my hat on, like a baseball hat on. But Robbie does it.
I don't know why you're asking me this.
This is the thing. I don't know. It feels weird. It feels like it would be uncomfortable.
I would think it's uncomfortable. I don't think I would want to have a hat on. I mean, some people's heads get cold.
I feel like I've seen this in other movies too. We're going to have to keep track of this if this ever comes up again. Because I was just like, why does Robbie have his hat on? He looks ridiculous. Carol Ann wants the nightlight on from the closet.
Yes.
And she like jumps up and is like, I need the nightlight. And she's like,
right.
I got it. Like Diane is like, okay, I forgot. So she opens the closet door slightly and turns the light on. See, here's the thing. Like even with the storm and everything, Rachel, as a kid, as an adult, I am always more comforted if there's another person or being in the room. Like, that's just me. E-Buzz is in there, I'd be out like a light.
Oh,
Wouldn't
I'd
matter
be
that
good
it's
to go,
storming at
yeah.
all. I've got the dog.
Yeah. I don't know why I got the dog. My dog would probably be like, we'd both hear a noise. He'd wake up and go, you could check that out. But I'd feel braver just for the fact that he's here.
I'm not gonna check it out, but you can check it out.
I heard it. You heard it.
Even our...
Want to check that out?
Even our parents' puppy.
Yes.
Who is a 20-pound scrappy
she
do,
thinks she's
as I have described her.
Yes.
Even having her, I'd be like, well, I've got her.
Right.
This is fine.
Yeah.
Even though she would not do anything. She'd be like, oh no, if anything happened. But it just makes you feel better.
Right.
I would have thought that Carol Ann and Robbie having each other in the room would kind of make you feel safer.
Maybe it is helping a little bit, but you still
Reminds
have your
me
little
of the
quirks.
Simpsons. When Lisa goes into Bart's room and is like, I had a nightmare, can I sleep with you? And he's like, knock yourself out. So, like,
right.
It's that type of thing.
Yes.
And we get a little bit of Diane and Steven, like, what they're like. So,
yeah.
Go ahead, Rachel.
God, they're weird. They're smoking weed, right? Like,
yes. Yeah, they're rolling joints, they're smoking some weed.
Yeah. They're watching some weird movie.
Yeah, They're in their room. They're in their bedroom.
They're just
kind of
having them me time,
Yeah, they're having a little me time before they like go to bed.
Right.
If you think about their ages and the fact that they had Dana when they were 16, let's roll back 16 years. It's like the mid 60s, right?
Right.
They were in high school. These are clearly supposed to be like what happened to the hippies.
Is
like
it
now they're like suburban parents?
Is it hippies?
Is
it the other word? Is it the other word?
Yuppies?
Yeah.
I think that they've become yuppies.
Oh, okay.
I think that they were hippies that have become yuppies. And I don't even know if it's that, because I think that Steven is clearly kind of like was an athlete. Like they talk about putting in the pool.
Yeah.
So like Steven's reading a book about...
Do you think he was a swimmer?
Yes, because all right. So to set the stage,
okay, yes,
Steven's reading a book about Ronald Reagan because it's 1982 and you were obligated to do that. Diane is talking about how she thinks Carol Ann was sleepwalking and she sleptwalk, and she's getting a little high as she's saying it. So they're both kind of laughing. They're doing that little high laughing. Yeah. Steven goes into a bit because Diane says something about like, well, what about like the pool?
Yeah, she starts freaking out. Like, okay, what if she sleepwalks into the pool before it's filled? Like, oh my god.
Yeah. And this is Steven talking about his diving techniques. Like he stands up and he's like,
this is like, it has to be this deep because then we'll have a diving board and it'll be 3 meters high or 5 meters high or something ridiculous. And then he's like, okay, and then we're gonna dive in, and then he starts like doing the movements of like diving into a pool.
So maybe he was
like doing
wasn't,
push-ups and stuff.
Yeah. So I think that they're just having fun. You're supposed to be like this is like a likable family, and this is, I think that they do a good job of establishing that this family all loves each other.
Yeah,
that they're
they
like
have
a very
like a really
likable
tight
family.
Very tight-knit.
Yeah. The storm goes on and the kid keeps staring at this tree. And all I said was, stop looking at the fucking tree!
Well, it's one of those things, right, where something is scaring you, so you're watching it to make sure nothing actually scary happens with it,
Okay.
All he has to do is put up the blanket block. All right? You put the blanket around your head, nothing can get you. The boogeyman can't get you. The scary tree outside can't get you. That awful fucking clown you have in your bedroom. Why do you have this evil clown in your bedroom?
So let's talk about this clown. What the fuck is this thing?
I hate it. I hate it.
Presumably, the parents or a grandparent or someone bought this child. Okay. If you saw this thing in the store, you'd be like, "Oh, that's evil."
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's not get that because that clearly has a demon inside of it.
Yeah, it's like child-sized. All right, it's big. I had a life-size doll when I was a kid. All right, and
I did not like that.
You hated it.
No.
She looked just like me, and you hated her.
I don't care what she looked like. I didn't want it to come into the house, and I didn't want to come into my room and murder me in the middle of the night.
But she wasn't creepy looking.
No.
She was normal.
Didn't matter.
I know. I know. I'm just saying, at least she was normal looking.
I agree.
But this is a life-sized creepy clown.
This is worse.
This is worse.
Because it is disturbing. This is disturbing. This tells you. I was all on board. I was like, this is a very nice, normal family. And then I saw that clown and I was like, nope, no, they're not. They're fucked up in the head. Everyone in this house is fucked.
It has a round face, like a heart-shaped face, big cheeks, those crazy, like, cartoon-shaped eyes, and, like, a big, wide Joker mouth, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy orange hair on either side of its head, poofing out, a wizard's hat, and it's, like, some silver costume. All right, there you go. Creepy-ass clown.
Terrible. Folks at home,
Horrible.
If you have never seen this movie...
Oh, it's got, like, the jester
just Google...
neck. Jester neck.
Yeah, just Google Poltergeist clown, and you'll be like, yep, that's not something that I would allow my children to play with. Nor should you.
Horrifying.
Oh, God, Rachel's... Yeah, I didn't need to see it. Rachel turned her screen so that I could see it. I didn't need to see it.
Yeah, you did.
I watched the movie.
Yeah, well, I watched
Rachel,
it again.
I have a question for you, because you watched the 2015 remake, right? Was the clown in it?
3 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
It tells you how much Rachel remembers.
I don't remember it
about
very
that movie. There'd have to be, right? You couldn't make a remake without the clown.
Oh, there was a clown. But I feel like they purposely made it scary. So it was one of those things. Like, this clown, for some reason, someone thought...
supposed to be scary, yeah.
Right. But the one in, like, the new version, they're like, well, make it really scary looking. Make it scary looking. And then when it's in the shadows, it's even scarier looking. Like,
yeah.
like that's what it felt
like. It's like, no, you're missing the point. The
right.
point is that it's creepy, but it's not scary. And that makes it scarier.
Right.
Like Bozo. He looks kind of like Bozo.
He does kind of look like Bozo. A little Bozo-ish.
The score goes nuts to make you feel the kid's fear. It's over the top for what's going on. It's making you feel scared. Like, the whole scene
uneasy.
is about anticipation.
Yes.
Yeah. It got me a little bit. It did. These scenes in the kid's bedroom got me more than, like, anything in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Because one thing I will say about this movie in general is that it isn't very scary. It's not very scary.
It's not. If you want an introduction to scary movies, this is a good introduction to scary movies.
This is a good spot. It's a family horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie for kids to see to get them into horror movies.
I think it is.
It's like an intro.
Right.
Like, don't watch Amityville Horror. Don't watch The Exorcist.
Yeah, don't drop into Halloween. Do this one.
Yes. Start with Poltergeist. He puts a coat over the clown and jumps back into bed.
Yes.
Fair enough. Like you're saying, Rachel, the better thing to do would have been go under the
Just go
covers,
under your covers. You're in your safe zone. You're fine.
Yeah. This works, though. And
he does do that, too. He does put the covers up just to...
He does.
Mm-hmm.
They do a callback later in the movie of that, which that got me. That actually was very
Love a good callback.
I even thought, like, I was like, oh shit, because he looks again to like make sure that the coat is there, and I was like, it's not gonna be there, and it's like, okay,
or the coat's just sitting on the chair and nothing else.
Yeah,
and you're just like,
ooh, ooh. Like my spine just went thinking about it, because it's one of those things that as a kid you're like always worried about for some reason.
You put yourself in the mind of a kid when you're watching it, because you're just like, ooh, okay, wait, what would I be afraid of? Like your brain just automatically goes to that.
There was wind in the room for some reason, and I think that's supposed to be for atmosphere, because it's like, or the AC was on, because I was like, why is there wind? What's going on in this room?
Because the supernatural stuff is starting, Kevin. There's wind. It got colder. The ghouls are out.
The ghouls?
The ghosts.
The parents are fooling around. They're high as kites, and they're just kind of like...
Isn't he doing is he doing like a Daffy Duck, or is he just doing,
He's like kissing her elbow or something.
I thought he was doing Donald Duck, like that awful Donald Duck voice. Making her laugh.
Maybe. I don't remember. They're just like, they're having fun and stuff.
They're just being silly.
The boy shows up at the door because he's scared.
Right.
As you do.
As
any parent can relate. Yeah, children do this. Of course they do this at the most inopportune time, because they were trying to get snoo, and now they can't, because... Here comes Robbie, ruin our fucking Sunday night. The dad puts him on his back to put him back to bed.
Yep.
One of these odd things about these houses, these half steps that are so odd, where like the parents are on like one level and you walk down like two steps to get to the...
That was such a thing then. It was huge to just put everything
dumb.
On levels upon levels upon levels, and the bed on its own level, and then the toilet on its own level with carpet around it. All right, that was like so
Egypt.
in.
A terrible look.
Also, I just feel like I would be tripping all over the damn place.
Do you remember when I took you?
Yes.
Specifically.
I will always remember that house. I will always remember that house. Go on.
All right. So I was looking for a house. This was back when I was looking for a house. And I would always take somebody from the family, because, ladies, I am single. And I was like, I need somebody to look at the house with me. And one of the times I asked Rachel to go with, because mom and dad weren't available. Or it was like during the day. It was like after work. Or something.
I think it was.
Like you met me there, and it was an older house. It was probably from the 80s.
It
was huge. This house was gigantic.
It was massive.
I would never. It was probably haunted. I was never going to be able to stay there. And they had a master bedroom and a master bedroom suite. And in the master bedroom suite, like the bathroom...
The layout was so weird in this house, by the way. The layout was wacky as can be.
Yeah, it was. That's why it was haunted. It was just so strange. It had a big-ass in-ground pool in the back that was, like, empty and all this. And it had carpeted bathroom.
Yes. You walked up a level. You had a little step up into that bathroom with the carpet. You could go in one side. Everything was carpeted. By the shower, by the sink, by the toilet. And then you could walk out the other side to the other side of the bedroom.
That's right.
It wasn't even it wasn't like a Jack and Jill where it was like out to the hallway. It was just in the same room.
Rachel remembers this house more than me, because she was like, we like walked out of the house and you were like, you're not buying that house.
No, because it needed too much work and I didn't like the layout.
It was huge. It was so like, compared to like now knowing what like I do with my house, like I never could have maintained that house. Nonetheless, because it was probably haunted. But besides that...
Yeah, I think it was. I think it had to be.
Robbie tells Steven that he doesn't like the tree. And I was like, well, yeah, it's evil. That's why you don't... Like, I wanted Steven to be like, well, Robbie, that's because the tree is haunted. But it's okay.
Just don't look at it.
He says that the tree knows that we live here.
Which is probably true.
And
it lives right there. Like, it can look into your window, so it can see you.
This is where Steven explains that he built the house next to the tree to protect them, and it's been there for a long time. And the kid's like, I don't think it likes that we're here. And he explains the count thing with the thunder and lightning, which I think every kid gets explained this whenever they're afraid of storms. Did this help you, Rachel, when you were little?
I don't know if I was really afraid of storms. I think they just kept me awake. But I liked the story of like getting to do the counts from the lightning to the thunder, so I would always do it.
Carol Ann's playing with the phone
and saying, "Daddy, I'm wondering." Here's my question about this one, because she's on the phone, all right, and she said, "Daddy, it's for you.
She's on a little, like, toy phone.
It's on a little toy phone. It's not like a real phone. But I'm wondering if she's actually talking to the spirits right now.
So I'm going to disagree. Because I think that they do it through this electromagnetic pulse type stuff.
So I think that's why they toys move, and they're poltergeists, so they can make stuff, make noise, do things. And this phone is probably one of those talkie phones that actually does make noise and stuff. So
I thought it was just like a ringer. Like it just makes the noise when you like...
might. But they might be like, messing with it to say something.
Yeah. No, all right, that's fine.
The only reason I was like, the way she like said something, and then she's like, okay, I'll tell them. And then it seemed like she was like going to, like, I know it's like game. I know kids play games. But knowing the movie, I went, is she talking to the spirits right now?
That's possible. That is possible. I wonder what would have happened if Steven
picked up the phone and there was like static.
Yeah, that would have been creepy. That would have been scary static. Creepy for this. It would have been too creepy for this point in the movie. I like Steven's response though. Which is
I do love that.
Tell him I'll give him a call back, or tell him to take a message or something. Like he's able to play with her at the same time. They're a cute family. These actors are all very, very good together. Yeah. They all have very good chemistry together. They feel like a real family.
Yes.
It works. Just like the E.T. family works. And I'm only comparing it because it's the same year. It's the same production type. You have to compare them a little bit. But this family works very, very well. I think that's something that lacks in a lot of different stuff is a family that feels real.
Right.
And this family feels real.
Yes.
They very much feel real.
What is it called? The nuclear family? They are
a nuclear family.
They are absolutely a nuclear family. They have 2.5 kids. So
Quite literally.
Quite literally.
He looks to make sure the kids feel okay before shutting the door. Like they actually do the count.
Yes.
And then he shuts the door and
he
he's
watches
like,
them count. Mm-hmm.
I do also like that he busts into Dana's room.
Yes, I love
Dana, get off the phone. He just knows that she's on the phone, so he just yells at her. We get a little bit of cinematography here with the rain outside. It makes the tree look like a horror movie some more because it's raining and it's making the tree look even creepier and stuff. I like that. And of course, then the next scene is Robbie and Carol Ann are in bed with the parents because they both must have gotten spooked and just came in the room and they're like, fine, whatever.
Something spooked him and they both went, nope, mom and dad.
Yep. And then the national anthem hits again. I am not, as you all know, I have nothing to do with the film industry. I am not a film I did not go to film school or anything like that. I'm an aficionado, but I did not go to professional. Rachel and I are simply fans. We are simply people that like retelling stories and making sure that you all have the right stories and stuff. And talking about stories. There's got to be a term, and there's got to be some sort of film language here to how Hooper shoots this scene.
Yes.
Because it starts with them on the bed. They're all passed out asleep. The national anthem is playing, and in one camera movement, it goes from them on the bed, it zooms out slowly, so you get the full effect of the room and how big the room is.
Yes.
And then it pans slowly over, and then it zooms in on the TV, which then turns to static. I don't know what what you would call that, what that is, or anything like that, but it makes you feel uneasy.
You do. You feel uneasy that whole time because you're just like, am I supposed to see something? Is something happening in the background? What's happening? Like, what's over there?
You're waiting for something to happen.
Yes.
And nothing really has happened yet other than Carol Ann talking to the static, but it just makes you feel uneasy. And I like that. That's why they're professionals, right? They know how to make you feel just by the visual of things. But I like that. It seems as though the storm has stopped. And then there, according to my captions anyway, there was whispering in the static.
Mm-hmm. I think you could hear the whispers.
Well, it's like...
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So you could...
You can, hear that. It sounds like somebody doing that.
Carol Ann wakes up again. She climbs over
so
the
much
TV.
Flashing lights in this scene.
Yeah, it's going crazy.
If you were watching this in the dark, your entire room is flashing now.
Which is what I did, and that's what happened.
It's great.
There's little lights in the TV, and then you get the first sign of something weird is happening because a hand reaches out and touches her.
Ghostly fog hand. Misty fog hand. Yes.
Yeah. It's a 1982 computer effect, so
it's really
take
bad.
That for what you will.
Oh, it's really bad.
It gets the job done, I suppose.
It gets the job done, but it's really bad.
There's vapor in the room, and it strikes the wall. Like, it strikes above the bed frame.
Yes.
And it causes the whole room to shake like an earthquake. And they all wake up. And then Carol Ann says her iconic line that will be remembered for always.
They're here.
Yeah. The next day, they're digging for the pool. And Steven is on the phone with somebody talking about, like, well, how did you guys not feel that earthquake? It was like a 4.0 or whatever. Like, I can't even remember what he says.
It had to have been like, yeah.
He's like, there was damage and stuff, but I haven't seen anybody on the news talking about it or anything. E-Buzz grabs a waffle out of Robbie's hand. The kids are eating breakfast. These waffles looked kind of good. I don't know if Leslie Knope good, but they were good looking waffles.
Yeah, they were fine.
They're teasing each other like siblings do.
Mm-hmm.
Dana has weird hair in this scene, Rachel. She's got like this... Because she's got like these two poofs.
She
like,
put her hair...
up.
Okay, look. She put her hair like half up, half down. But instead of just doing one pony, she did two. So they're kind of like two like small space buns, but half up, half down hair. So most of it's
Is that a 1982 thing?
I don't know. Oh, it just looks like a kid with hair. But
to me,
it looks like 80s
like
hair.
A kid with hair. Or early 80s hair, where it's like it could have fit in the late 70s.
Right.
It fits into the early 80s.
Yeah.
Diane asks Carol Ann, when you said that they were here, who's here?
Right. The TV people.
Yes. And Robbie's like, she's stoned, not knowing what that means. I
don't think so. I think she's just heard the parents and their friends say it.
I think Dana even says, like, you don't even know what that means.
Yeah, and then they start bickering.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Ask Dad. I like that Dana does a pretty good job of imitating Robbie. She sounded just like Robbie when she said, ask Dad, back to him, and then they start making fun of each other. And then Carol Ann tries to get involved because she feels left out.
Of course.
They're acting like siblings.
Right. I do like when it like goes over to the digger for the pool. It does dig out the bird box.
Tweety.
I feel like that's yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't even put that together.
I had to point it out because I was like, hello.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. It's all because of Tweety. It all happened because of Tweety.
Tweety. It all sparked because of Tweety. That's right.
Yeah.
I would have liked if a giant bird monster attacked them and was like, you desecrated my grave. Hang on, because I lost my spot.
Ask Dad.
Shut up, hang on.
Well, this is when the glass breaks.
Oh. So this cup breaks.
Yes.
And it spills everywhere on
the bottom
Dana's
of the
stuff.
cup.
They don't, like, question it. And wouldn't you be like, Robbie, how did you squeeze this glass so that it breaks?
So it breaks at the bottom of it? Like, the bottom of it just falls off? I guess they must have thought he, like, hit it against something by accident.
Yeah.
While he was
I even wrote in my
there.
notes, I was like, was that supernatural? And then I, like, rewound it, like, 10 seconds, and I was like, oh, yeah, it definitely was. Robbie notices that the fork and spoon have entered the Matrix.
Yes.
So
all spent.
They're completely
bent.
There
is no spoon.
The only thing that could make this movie creepier is if suddenly Robbie and Carol Ann started talking with British accents for no apparent reason whatsoever. Then you know
Hello,
that something's wrong with them. Ever since Robbie got scared by the tree, he just... Now at night he goes outside and flies a kite. Hello, Mother. Okay, Rachel, I gotta ask you this.
Okay.
So Dana leaves for the day.
Okay. Go on.
And the construction workers
Gross.
all catcall her.
Disgusting.
And she's like 15, 16 years old.
Yep.
She gives them the finger and the up yours and like walks away and they all kind of laugh.
Which they deserve.
Like it's a daily occurrence.
Yep.
They do this like this is part of their routine where they like tease this teenage girl. Diane watches on approvingly like good job, girl. Like good job, Dana. You did it. You showed them. There's two possibilities here. One is that is the way you're supposed to think about it, I guess, where it's like, yes, I'm training my daughter to stand up to these creepy men because I was pregnant at 16 years old.
Right.
Or is it just that they know the construction company
I wonder
because...
that too.
That's what I was thinking. It's like they've known this girl forever, so they're just teasing her.
Gross. Even if they do know her, why are you being gross? Yeah. It's too gross.
It's very weird.
I don't like it.
This was one of the creepiest things in the entire movie.
It really was. I didn't like it. I was like, I don't like it. I'm glad she stood up for herself, kind of, but I don't like that they laughed, and it was gross. So
Diane catches E-Buzz. She turns because she was like watching that happen, and she turns back, and E-Buzz is trying to grab food off the table. The chairs have been pushed back, and E-Buzz knows that he can climb the table to get their food, so they always say to push the chairs in, and I always tell you to push the chairs in, and they didn't. And then the dog starts barking at the bed upstairs.
Well, does it do that? Well, Carol Ann is for one. You missed that Carol Ann is 2 inches from the TV. No, she is 2 inches from the TV, just staring at the static. All right, and then the mom goes, "That's gonna hurt your eyes," and then turns the channel, and it's like a shootout in a western, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that would have jump scared me as a kid.
I don't know if it would have jump scared me, but it would probably be worse for your eyes. It would have been startling. There's a hole above the bed where the specter struck.
Yeah, what is that? It is like a hole, isn't it? Or is there something hanging there?
So I know what this is based on doing some research, because I do research for this podcast for all of you.
I don't. I do sometimes.
There's a deleted part of the script. I guess they actually shot it, and they said it didn't look right, or Hooper didn't like the look of it, so they got rid of it. This hole at the end in the final sequence, it gets bigger and bigger throughout the movie, and then it goes away when they do the exorcism, and then in the last sequence it peels apart almost like tentacles. I think it's supposed to be like a tree again.
Okay.
Grabs Diane, and the sexual overtones or undertones in that final scene with her in the bed are overtones, and they cut it because they thought it went too far. I think they did film and they did plan it. So like that's just a vestige of like something left over from like one of the scripts and one of like the scenes. It still works because it almost looks like that was like the entry point.
Yes.
And Buzz can't figure out, he feels uneasy about it, and then he brings it a toy.
Right.
Like he's not
and
like quite sure what to do.
Sit up, like
that's unsettling. Just seeing the dog act like that. Yeah. Yeah,
yes.
That was strange.
Having my dog act like there's a person in front of
Something's
him
in the room.
Wall?
It's the same as like a kid coming in and saying, "Mommy, what was that?" And like, who's that man?
That?
Like,
yes,
it's that man? Same idea. If your dog just stops and starts barking at something
at a wall,
nothing in the house,
the corner,
that's
the hallway,
yeah.
No.
Your dog's done that before, I'm sure, Rachel, right? Because there's probably some sound or something that he can't tell what it is. But it's, then it freaks you out a little bit. I'm sure that happens.
I mean, it's happened a couple times when we're, like, alone. It's just me and him, and he'll hear something in the house, or, like, the air conditioner turns on.
His ears pick up.
Or, like, the ice machine, like, just makes some ice, I hate that noise, because it freaks me out sometimes. And he'll jump up and go, "Boof." And I'm just like, what? What did you hear? What was it? And then he'll stare. And he won't move. That part freaks me out. When he doesn't look at me, he just stares at whatever he heard, because it did scare him.
Right.
Because at that point, he's like, no, I'm focused. Hold on.
I'll be with you in a minute. Shut up. One of the workers one of the Teamsters, to be precise, gets some Chilean coffee.
And she does know his name, but...
Yeah, Bluto. This is a fun little moment.
Is it?
She like... Oh, gee, Mrs. Fleming, you make a really good coffee.
Yeah, he is goofy. He's pretty much a goofy. And then she goes, "That's my coffee. Don't eat my stuff." I would have thrown out that sauce. He, like, put his entire mouth on that spoon and put it back in the bowl.
He did. And he's a gross Teamster. So, Diane turns back.
So maybe they do know them very well or something.
That's what I think. I think they know them because, like, Steven sold half of the damn houses in the neighborhood. Right. So I think that this is just like the same construction company that does the housing, and so like they know them.
Yeah,
like they have to.
I agree.
The way that they interact, it just feels like they know.
And she just kind of laughs it off too.
She turns back to the kitchen table.
Yes.
And all the chairs have moved.
Yep, they're all pushed out.
And she's like, "All right, that's
weird.
That's fine." And Carol Ann grabs her back and it scares her, and like a jump scare. And she asks if Carol Ann moved the chairs, and she goes, no. So then the camera and the mom come back over to grab some cleaning stuff. And when the camera comes back over, the chairs are sorted on the table in a geometric shape.
Yeah, they're a pyramid. They're stacked so precariously, too. Because, like...
Yeah, you wouldn't see people.
Like, half the legs are, like, falling off.
Yeah. You never see people.
No.
Stack books like that. Or chairs.
That's right.
It reminded me of the Ghostbusters library scene.
That's fair.
You know, where they're like, oh, plasmic, you know, whatever, da-da-da-da-da-da. Ghostbusters could have taken care of this thing right quick if they were around. They weren't around yet. That was part of the problem.
Potentially.
And they're on the other coast.
I think they did take care of a poltergeist. Was one of the ghosts they took care of.
Slimer was a poltergeist.
Was he a poltergeist?
Class 2 phantasm or something like that.
Yeah, he's a phantasm.
Or a full roaming vapor.
He's not a poltergeist. He's a phantasm.
I thought I read somewhere that this was a practical effect. The chairs were all
stacked
in spot.
Properly, yes.
They moved the camera. The stagehands came in, quickly stacked the chairs. They moved the camera back.
Oh, it was all in one shot.
Was like, yeah, because it is. It's
nuts.
One shot. There's no cut there. I don't know if that's true or
nuts.
not. Folks at home, let me know if that's true. I mean, Rachel, you can Google it and see if that is true. I thought it was. She asks Carol Ann if it was the TV people, and she goes, "Uh-huh." And did she see the TV people?
But she's fascinated by this.
Yeah. Okay. So this is then where if it was like a 70s horror movie, like The Omen or The Exorcist or any of those, or even some of the newer ones, where are they going to try to find a plausible scientific explanation for this before they are like, the house is haunted? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, those movies are like, all right, there's got to be a logical explanation until there's not. Which I like that, the way that goes. This one is like, nope, fuck it, we're not going to bother.
I mean, I think it is a lot of like I'm not going to bother, but like, she probably was trying to think explanation and then goes, no, weird crap's been starting to happen around here, kind of a thing. And I feel like this mom is definitely a ghosts exist mom. She believes weird, unnatural things are possible.
Yeah.
So why would she go
I think that's
to
part
science
of it. Yeah.
when this is a weird thing? I'm not even bothering with that.
She's not, she is not someone that is a non-believer in the afterlife or anything like that. So her first reaction is to think that this is spookiness, that this is ghosts. The chair stacking scene for Poltergeist was a single unedited take. When the camera turns away, the crew members jostle a plant, and you can glimpse their reflection in the appliances as they quickly swap the chairs with a single glued together stack.
Oh.
So it wasn't that they stacked them.
I was going to say,
they
are
stacked.
Talented otherwise.
Steven is in another house showing it as a real estate agent, and
it's an identical
couple,
house.
It's exactly the same thing. Like, the husband that he's showing the house to says that he doesn't really like the neighborhood because all the houses look the same.
I agree. I understand that.
I never like it when all the houses look the same either.
I just like the little bit of difference, that little bit of like uniqueness just adds a little bit more to a neighborhood for me.
Is this supposed to be commentary on suburban sprawl?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that supposed to be part of what you're getting out of the movie?
I think so, because of how fast, and it's like in phases, and it's like, we're doing this, and we're going to change all of this, and like, look at how many people we're getting into like all of these houses so quickly.
Yeah, building it up too quickly, gentrifying it.
And cutting
corners. Not respecting the land, cutting corners. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if this was... I mean, in the 80s, of course, there was expansion like that, and then eventually, like, the market dropped, like, 5 years later down the line from, like, the time of the movie. I wasn't around to be able to tell you, like, oh, yeah, was this, like, a thing back then where there was, like, this suburban sprawl and, like, people were worried, like, okay, now we're going into, like, these phases. Like, yeah, you're right. Phase 4, Phase 5, and, like, this here and this there, and, yeah. I definitely felt like you were supposed to get that out of this. And if it was the Native American burial ground, that would definitely have triggered it for us. Like, then it would have been like, this is clear, like, an allusion to Manifest Destiny and Suburban Sprawl, and even just American takeover of the West or whatever, modernized or something like that. But even then, it is almost like you're disturbing the past, the tranquility, by having all of these houses that look exactly the same. There's nothing different about them, and like, yeah, definitely.
It's all about the business and nothing about the people, blah, blah, blah.
Right. But that also is interesting because, as we've said, this is supposed to be like your everyday family, nuclear family. So, like, even that, your family straight out of a magazine, you know? Like,
right.
It's the hot mom and the teenage daughter and the little boy and girl. And the
business
their
dad.
dad's who's a coach at the high school football team. He gets home and grabs the trash cans, but Diane pulls him in the house, saying to come quick. And she's built this sketch on the floor of what she thinks is happening. So she's got outlines on the floor. She's got these circles everywhere. She's just drawn all over the linoleum.
Right. I do love that she's just like, okay, you remember when you had an open mind? I need you to be like that.
Right. Which is why I think that they were kind of hippier when they were younger.
Right.
Carol Ann wants some food.
Pizza.
And she's like, Mommy didn't cook anything. And Diane's like, well, get Pizza Hut. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
So she places the chair down, and after a beat, it shakes, and then it slides across the floor. And Diane jumps up, and she's all like, thinks that it's like awesome.
Isn't it crazy? It's so weird, and she got it to happen again and again.
I cannot put myself in the headspace. I'm not a Lydia Dietz. I'm not somebody that loves ghosts. I'm not Mike Stoklasa. I can't put myself in the headspace where my first reaction to seeing this occurrence would be, that's fucking awesome. Like Diane's is.
I think it's more so, oh my God, I got it to work so he could see it.
I don't know. She's excited. She's excited the whole time.
She's been doing this all day. And she was been tracking where it happens.
If I was Diane, Carol Ann and I would be outside on the stoop, and we would be telling Steven we're getting the fuck out of here. It would not be, come on, honey, sit down and feel the tickle.
Oh, yeah, okay, sure. Fair enough. Watching all of these movies, like knowing a lot of this stuff, if something weird were to actually happen in my home, I'm moving.
Where I sleep.
I'm out. I'm packing?
Yes!
I'm gone.
Yes! It wouldn't take you a minute. It would be, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You would leave. But Diane is very excited about this, and then shows that they can actually have Carol Ann slide across the floor. So Carol Ann sits down, and Carol Ann slides across the floor.
Don't do experiments with your child and ghosts, all right? Don't let them move your child around. But she does. She puts a helmet on her, sits her in the circle.
Steven grabs her because she slides across the floor very quickly.
It burns her butt because it's like a rug burn.
Yeah, burns her butt. Diane even is like, oh yeah, we need to wax the floor. And she describes it as a tickling that pulls. And she's describing all of this to Steven, and then it immediately cuts to the next scene. The edit and the cut from this scene to the next scene is so
abrupt.
Awkward.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense. So I looked up. Why is this cut so awkward? So just to give you an idea for the folks at home. Diane is describing it, and Steven is sitting there looking very shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of her explaining it, it cuts to them in front of the door at the neighbor's house, asking the neighbor questions.
Right.
It's such an odd cut. Not that they couldn't make the cut of Diane explaining it, but there should have been like a fade out in the audio, or a fade in on Craig T. Nelson's face to emphasize that he's like not even paying attention anymore because he can't understand what's happened. Like he's in shock, something, and then go to the neighbor's house. It's so abrupt. So I looked it up, and there is a potentially deleted scene. I read this on a couple of websites, and I was like, this doesn't add up because the Pizza Hut conversation happens earlier in the scene, but who knows, maybe. So somebody, like, from what I read, Carol Ann says something about getting pizza again, and Diane says, we'll get Pizza Hut. Steven says something about he's, like, able to, like, take a beat, and then he goes, I hate Pizza Hut. And then says something about, are they magnets? Like, does it have something to do with the earthquake from last night? And Diane says, like, well, no shit, it has to have something to do with the what happened last night. And then it eventually cuts. So there's people that claim that, like, that is exactly what happened in the theatrical release, and Pizza Hut got mad at them for saying he hates Pizza Hut, so they cut it, and they didn't even bother with, like, making a good cut.
Interesting.
So they just cut it and went to the next scene. I can't find confirmation on that, and you can't find, like, any deleted scenes anywhere on the internet, so maybe a 4K or a Blu-ray has it, so if we end up putting it on the shelf, maybe I'll see it in that. But that's allegedly why this cut is so weird, because it's
interesting.
It's so bad.
It just
it's
feels
an
like
odd
it cuts in
cut.
the middle of it. Right.
Were they high talking to Ben in this scene, Rachel?
It feels like it. I don't know if they are actually stoned. Maybe they got stoned to think about it, and then they were like, oh, let's go ask the neighbor. And so then they go ask the neighbor, because they act giggly and goofy this whole time. But I'm also wondering if it's just because it's like, oh, this is such a weird thing to have to ask somebody else. So they're acting awkward about it.
This whole scene is so weird. I was just like, what is this? What am I watching?
Yes.
They ask Ben, who is the slobby neighbor.
Yes.
And Steven's like, this might sound strange coming from me. And Ben just deadpan goes, I doubt that.
Yes. They're getting eaten alive by mosquitoes this whole time. He's eaten off of the plate.
Yeah. These, like, beans or something gross.
Oh, it's gross.
Steven is embarrassed to ask, but he can't. And then they start laughing, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yes. And then the
Did
guy
I
goes,
miss something?
Mosquitoes never bother us. They suck on you, son. I'm like, what the fuck? This was
Yeah,
weird.
like, what is this dialogue?
Weird. Like, oh, we're better people than you because mosquitoes don't bite us. It's like, wow.
Oh, is that what I was supposed to get out of that?
I guess, because that's how the guy was acting, and I was like, okay, why would you even go to the asshole neighbor that you don't like? Go to your other neighbor. You have multiple other neighbors.
Yeah, they could have just gone to the... It's like how the Homer always goes to the Flanders, but not the house to the other side.
Yes.
They finally get out. They ask if he's had any disturbances.
Experiences and disturbances, yeah.
Some stuff moving around by itself or anything like that. He looks for a beat, and then it cuts again.
Just get rid of that stupid scene. Get rid of it. We don't need the mosquitoes are eating you alive. I get that nature is now fighting against you too, but it's just so weird.
I think it was supposed to be funny. I think that they were supposed to...
I hated it.
I think you were supposed to think it was, like, funny that they went and, like, asked Ben, the neighbor.
Oh, was I? Interesting.
Who
thought of that one? Steven.
Steven, I had an idea for your ghost movie, your ghost picture. All right, George, let's hear it. Steven says, we're going to keep this all in the family because that was very embarrassing, and he'll call someone tomorrow. And they're like, who the fuck are we going to call? Like, what are you talking about? There's, like, ghosts or something in the house, and you want to call someone. If I was this family, I'd be like, you know what? We will call someone tomorrow. We will get someone to come and investigate or whatever, or check the foundation or whatever you need to do. But until then, the Freelings are staying at the Hotel Holiday Inn or the Motel 6. Holiday Inn. We are not staying in this house. The interesting part, Rachel, because later on we learn that this is a poltergeist and not a haunting, so it's connected to a person and not a location. Yes. So would they have still haunted Carol Ann no matter where they went?
So considering that was said, I would say yes.
I guess that's why there are sequels.
I would assume that's why there's sequels. It has to be connected to Carol Ann. Yes.
Yeah, it has to.
Because they're according to them, hauntings would mean it's connected to the house.
Yes.
But they believe it's a poltergeist. And considering the name of the movie is Poltergeist.
And the movie is called Poltergeist and not Haunting or Ghost. It is called Poltergeist.
But I would like to argue that what they were describing sounds more like a haunting from what their description was. It's not a possession. It's definitely not a possession.
What is a haunting?
A haunting is the house.
Yeah, but they're saying like they're after Carol Ann.
Well, it's like they're saying that there's a connection to a specific person. Like they actually I guess they latched onto her as a specific person.
Sure.
And so that now they're like bringing it all out inside of the house, I suppose. But I don't know. I guess it is a poltergeist.
Well,
they're throwing shit around all the time, you know?
Let's go back to volume 2 of Shelf Life with Ghost. I thought in that...
Oh, so he's a poltergeist.
He was a poltergeist when he could affect the real environment. Right? Wasn't that it? When, like, he touched the penny and, like, picked it up and, like, that sort of stuff.
Is that
like,
what that was a
that poltergeist.
That was there?
It's a haunting when they're just, like, around. But it's a poltergeist when it affects the environment. So, like, the chair moving was, like, the key that it was... Or it should have been, like, the telling that it's a poltergeist. It's not a haunting. So I just like that. I just like that the definitions are different. I don't know what the real parapsychology explanation would be, like, what the difference is. If there are any parapsychologists out there listening to Shelf Life, and I know you are, because of course you are. We have 3.5 hour episodes. You're sitting there, you're trying to get ghosts to come. What else are you going to do?
The word itself is German for rumbling ghost, where they tend to make their presence known by throwing objects around and being noisy.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, that whenever I think of poltergeist, I just think of stuff being thrown around.
Yeah.
So hauntings is typically a reference to the presence of a spirit or ghost in a particular location. A poltergeist, which is a noisy ghost, refers to a specific type of haunting characterized by physical disturbances. So it's a haunting,
yeah,
but it gets really strong. It's a very strong, overpowered thing. There you go.
Glad that we figured that out, because I was just like, now hold on. I know that we've talked about this on Shelf Life before. So anyway, she says nothing bad happened. She's so open-minded, almost too open-minded, because like Steven's like, I don't want anybody in the kitchen. No one's to go into the kitchen until we like find out what's happening, because he thinks it's like isolated to that at least, like at this point. Yeah. And she's just like, well, nothing bad happened. Like nothing's wrong.
So I always like the joke. I've seen this joke a few times where it's just like, why are Americans always afraid of the ghosts in their house? We just kind of live with them, and like that's like the Europeans and stuff, because they have like the hundreds of years old houses, and they're just like, well, ours are like, we just kind of live with them. Why are you guys afraid of them? It's kind of the same idea, I think, here, where it's just like, well, she's like okay as long as it doesn't get dangerous, and he's already like, I don't like any of this. None of this is okay.
It's storming again, and the kid is trying the counting again, and the storm is getting closer. And as the storm gets closer, we get our first big super paranormal, supernatural occurrence.
Yes.
That is mischievous.
My God.
The Tim Burton tree.
Escalated quickly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there's not a lot of progression here. It just goes from 0 to 60.
Yes.
The tree busts into the room with a big arm and grabs Robbie.
Becomes an ent. Yes.
I think this is all a ruse to get Carol Ann.
I think it is. It's to get everybody else out of the house so they could get Carol Ann.
The closet door opens and there's a light. And there's a tornado, which I feel like would be an odd occurrence to see in this part of the country.
I would think so, yes. But that's a part of the magic. Or, I'm sorry, the supernatural magic, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Carol Ann's bed is being sucked in slowly.
Everything's being sucked into the closet. She's
holding on to the bed frame, or she's trying to. The tree starts eating Robbie.
Yes!
Like, literally eating him.
Yes.
That I did not remember. I don't ever remember seeing Robbie get
him
sucked into the tree.
Molasses.
Yes, me too. Yes, I remember. Yes, I remember the sap covering him.
Yes,
but I don't remember the tree ever eating him like this.
That's creepy. It like is trying to swallow him whole.
It's got like a mouth.
It has a mouth. It's an ent.
Like a. We ents eat little boys.
Little hobbits.
Carol Ann gets pulled in. Steven somehow gets Robbie out of the tree, but I think it's because they don't really care. Like, I could have seen them being like, yeah, fucking kill Robbie, this little shit. We don't care about him.
Right.
And then the tree grabs Robbie by the root as it takes off.
As it like gets
in the
sucked
sky.
Into the air by the tornado. This was insane. This becomes like Wicked Witch of the West is flying through the damn tornado with this tree just hanging next to her.
There's Robbie hanging off going like, ah! There's a green screen to show that this tornado is there. It's not a very good green screen. It's like Outsiders-esque green screen here. And Dana's like, oh shit, look, must have been the tornado that picked it up. She's trying to use some logic here.
Yes.
They go to check Carol Ann, and there's nothing there. I guess they're justifying, like, okay, the window blew out, so all of the stuff got, like, sucked up onto the closet door.
I guess,
like,
yeah.
Otherwise, like, why would you not be like, what the fuck? How did everything get shoved up against the closet door?
Sure. I don't know if the rest of the house looks the same way. It would be the only reason I would think that is like if like the wind was pushing everything around in the house, and it's like, okay, this room also got pushed around because of the wind. But they immediately start digging into the closet because it's all like sucked in there.
Robbie comes in covered in molasses
and
like
traumatized. This child is
in shock.
Traumatized.
They finally get in the closet and they think like, oh, she just covered herself with a blanket because she
was
scared.
No, they didn't. They thought she was dead. They thought she was dead under that blanket. They all immediately were covering their mouth. Their eyes were wide. They thought she was dead.
I completely disagree. I think it was like relief. They're all like relieved when they see the blanket. They're like,
was it? All right. I thought the sister looked distraught. I guess you're right. Like the mom does kind of laugh. So maybe they're okay with it. But I swore the sister thought she was dead. Like
I think you're flipping it. So they unveil the sheet and the evil clown is there. Then it goes back to the sister, and then Dana's like, "Oh no, like where is she?" That's what I thought the sequence of events was.
I'm telling you right now, the sister kind of goes, "Oh my god!" Everybody looks like, "Oh shit, is she dead under this blanket?" They move the blanket. It's a clown. Everybody laughs, and then goes, "Wait, where is she?"
See, okay.
I'm telling you, I think they thought she was dead under that blanket.
That's disturbing. If you're, I mean, I guess a tornado came.
You know what? I'm sorry. I know I'm elongating this, but we have to now. This is necessary. Tell me that's not distraught.
Well, keep it going. Keep it going.
And now they're laughing. And now they're like, oh.
Okay. All right, fine.
Because they thought she got crushed to death by all of the stuff, and now she's just under this blanket dead. Anyways.
All right, Rachel, you're right. You're right. Okay, I was wrong. Rachel was right. Put that on your big boards, folks, for Rachel being right. Score is 50-2. So Dana says she'll go check the kitchen. Steven's like, no, don't go in there. Because now he's like, now something fucked up is happening again, and he doesn't want Dana to like get sucked into something. They check the whole house. They can't find her. The TV is on in the bedroom with static. Mm-hmm. And they think, oh crap, what about the pool? So like, did she fall into the pit?
That is a scary
I don't know how the fuck she would have gotten down there, but they think that maybe
when
she
they were
fell
already
in there.
outside, and then when she came out, and none of them saw her come out.
Didn't see her, and then she slipped or something,
Mm-hmm.
Robbie wanders into the parents' room. Steven dives into the pool and is trying to like make sure that she's not in there because like it's filled up with water because it's been raining so much. Yeah, Robbie hears "Mommy" coming through the TV.
Mm-hmm.
This is where again I think it's kind of Spielbergian where he's like mom.
He is traumatized.
He's like whispering it because like he can't get it out. He starts screaming it, and Diane runs in and hears it and is like, okay, I hear it too. I hear Carol Ann.
Yeah, like, where are you?
So she's like, where are you? Yeah, and they hear the distorted version in the TV, and Robbie's like in shock, like you said. He's got some buck teeth on him, this kid.
You can see them in the silhouette. I feel like they chose him just because you could see his teeth.
In this silhouette, they were like, this kid's got these perfect chompers for this silhouette shot, so we can see these big ass buck teeth. I mean, kids get that look sometimes, where their like teeth are too big for their fucking head.
Right.
Diane realizes that she's in the TV, and she touches the screen, and then we cut to the next day. I don't think it's the next day.
Not
actually. I think the time has passed.
It has been multiple days.
Yeah, it's probably been like a week or two.
Which, where are the cops?
No, you're not going to call the cop. Are you fucking serious?
Somebody should have called the cops on them. Where the hell is
Carol
Ann?
Well, I will remind you, Rachel, that it is 1982.
Yeah, you're right.
So if they say Carol Ann is sick...
This is a true crime documentary now. I'm just saying.
Welcome back to Thoughts for Your Thoughts. Today we're discussing the mysterious case of Carol Ann Flenning. She disappeared suddenly one night during a storm.
The parents say that she was sucked into the TV. We're going to discuss the probability of this.
Yeah, I know them. They came over and asked if there were any disturbances going on. If you ask me, I think they killed her. This could have been that could be a good bit. You could have like a good SNL sketch where like everyone thinks that. I get
Everybody
your point,
thought
though,
that
Rachel,
they murdered him. Yeah.
Yeah. He is being interviewed, or he is interviewing this parapsychology. He's interviewing the Ghostbusters at the Columbia University. Dr. Lee is here, and she's like, yes, I used to work under Dr. Venkman, but he didn't take anything seriously, so I came out to the West Coast to work here at Stanford. And she's got her own Ray Stantz and Harold Ramis with her, too.
Yes.
Egon Spangler. Why I said Ray Stantz and Harold Ramis. What's wrong with me? Folks at home, just so you know, Ghostbusters, of course, is on the list. It would be a main event, but we gotta do it in October, so it's probably gonna be like a kickoff or something, because, like, obviously.
Be a good kickoff. That'd be a great kickoff.
This is where you learn that Diane is 32, and we all did the math.
We all did the math.
And I just wrote, okie dokie.
I mean, no, it's fine. It was just like okay.
Steven, he looks
horrendous.
Yes, he's got big bags under his eyes.
The man does not sleep anymore.
Well, and how could you? Because he even says, like, well, we really wouldn't mind the screaming and the flashing and the stuff moving around. We don't really give a fuck about any of that. We just want Carol Ann back.
Right, and they can't leave because now your daughter is in the house. Like, she's in the house.
Right. So they come into the house, the doctor and the two assistants. The one assistant's name is Ryan, and the other assistant's name is Marty, I think. But I kept referring to him as Michael Bolton from Office Space. So I just have him written down as Michael Bolton from Office Space throughout the entire thing. The Ghostbusters West Coast gets to walk through the house, and they show, like, okay, well, like, where did the first disturbance happen? And they're like, well, the children's bedroom. Yeah, we don't go in there anymore. This feels very much, in my opinion, like they were trying to do what is the McNeil house from Exorcist, but for the 80s, because you've got the stairs that are very 80s, that spiral up,
right,
compared to like the 70s house. It's like we're trying to do haunted house for this decade, you know what I mean? Amityville Horror had a haunted house, but it was like gothic old school look. And this is supposed to be like, this is what it would look like in the 80s. Because, like, the stairs especially. Because, like, there is something... Yeah,
the stairs definitely have that style. Which is kind of a fun staircase, though.
Oh, who wouldn't want this open death trap staircase? I feel like I'd slip on these stairs and break my fucking neck.
I think you'll fall, but I don't think we're lucky enough for you to break your neck.
No, that's fine. So, thank you.
I had to.
No, you had to. You had to. But I think that they use the stairs very well because they make them look creepy. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's another one that can get you. Stairs can get you because you don't know what's around or on top of the stairs. Especially like as a kid. Like, you see stairs and you're like, what's going to happen?
Sure.
And horror movies have played on that.
Yes, well, because I think it's a stairway, a stairwell and stuff can also be like a portal, blah 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 kind of stuff.
Sure.
Happens. They even say like a spiral staircase is really bad for that, and this one's like a partial spiral. So like, maybe.
Yeah, this staircase has seen someone come down it with disco music playing.
Damn straight. You kind of expect more mirrors in this house, yeah.
Yeah, you do. You do. A lot more mirrors in very specific areas.
Yeah. The ceiling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It does. That could have been another thing, like Ghost Hunters from the 1980s. I could have seen Zach Baggins being like, "We're in this Flenning house," and it's like all like 80s out and everything. They have all this Ghostbuster equipment.
Oh yeah, sure.
So
they
this
did
team
exist.
has brought in.
They did exist. I mean, the most famous are
those con men, yeah.
Yeah, the con couple that kind of admitted to being connish.
The Warrens.
The Warrens, yeah.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be one of the most famous ones. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're con men from the Conjuring movies, I think.
Yes. Those are based on them.
Ryan, I think, is the one that explains that they once, because they're expecting to see what they typically see. So
sure,
I think
and they're trying to also make themselves sound professional.
Very professional.
Well, look, we have gone through this before, so let me tell you the things that we've experienced.
Do you think that they're frauds like Peter Venkman, or do you think that they're Ray Stantz, Egon Spengler, like they take this shit seriously?
I think they're Egon Spengler.
Okay.
Yeah. Office Space might be a little more skeptical of it all. And that's why it affects him more. But
yeah, they really go after that guy.
Oh my god.
They explained that they saw a vehicle go across a vehicle, a toy car, like a toy truck or something, go across a floor 7 feet in 7 hours. And to the naked eye, you wouldn't be able to see. Maybe it wasn't even 7 feet. Maybe it was like 7 inches or something like that.
No, I thought it was 7 feet. Like, it was 7 feet.
I think they did say 7 feet because they were like, "Isn't that astounding?"
Because it was so far.
And they said like,
"So," and he goes, "Well, I caught it."
Yeah, and either like to the naked eye, you wouldn't be able to see it, but it was fantastic. And Steven is like, and
he's just like, "Well, wait till I open this door."
Yeah,
and then the worst. I'm sorry, but it's bad.
Folks at home, next week we are doing your Halloween special. If you're listening to this the week it comes out, if not, go into the back catalog and watch Podcast of Horror 2024. The effects when he opens the door looked very similar to the effects in The Terrible Twos.
They are. Oh my god, they are. Yes.
What's happening in this room, Rachel?
So he opens the door and you can hear giggling. And it's like, it's...
As a kid, this would be fucking terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. It is what I would count as poltergeist giggles. Like, haunting, ghostly giggles, and, like, toys are being spun around this room. Everything, there's, like, wind, and everything's moving and jostling, and it's going nuts. So you have, like, a lamp goes by them and turns on and off, and then another toy on runs after them, and everything's like giggling and laughing. Like
everything
playful.
has like become sentient and stuff. Yeah,
yes.
evil and sentient. It is 1980s CGI working overtime.
Absolutely,
it is quite unsettling. But I could picture. I don't think this happened to me, but I could picture if I flipped this on cable or Dad had it on or we just happened to watch it. This sitting in your head for the rest of your life. I could definitely see this scene being one where it was like, oh, fuck. Like, for me, that one day we'll do it, I have to work up the courage to watch it, even though I own it on 4K. One day we'll do The Exorcist, and, like, the bed shaking scene imprinted on me forever, because I saw it when I was too young. I could see that happening to someone with this scene of the shit flying around the room, and just being like, oh, fuck.
It just
like,
it makes you like,
terrifying.
Oh my god, it's actually like happening. Like this is constant now for them.
So I asked the question, were they frauds, the parapsychologist, because the doctor's hand is like shaking as she's trying to like drink this tea at the kitchen table, and I was like, were they just never, did they not think that this was possible, that like these things actually existed, or is it just because this is so
extreme?
Okay,
I think it's because it's extreme. They're used to like the minor ones that they're either able to tell them, oh wait, you know what, this is actually a science thing, here's why it is what it is, they're debunking it for people, making them feel better, or they're like, well, this does feel like a weird anomaly, this could be what it is, and trying to explain it away, because it's like, well, we can't explain it with science, so here's what we actually think is happening. I don't think they've ever had anything this extreme.
Where they're just like, well, because even at one point...
Yeah, this is obviously, it's a haunting. Like
to your point, Rachel, like something starts to happen and the two guys are like we have to rule out electromagnetic pulses and stuff. And she says, Dr. Lee says, like, this is not a fraud. This is not, they're not faking this.
Yeah, because they're like, they have to be faking this. She does not
think that they're faking this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's no way they're faking this. None of this is fakeable.
And she says, this is clearly like a joke, right? So she says, she's not sure if if your house is haunted. And as she says this, the tea kettle just moves across the table as if the ghosts are like, fuck you, lady.
Fuck you,
like,
it's haunted.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
She's like, well, what I meant is it's poltergeists, all right? It's not a classic haunting.
Yeah, she's like almost like what I meant was, and like goes and like talks to like the ghosts proper. Dana is like, I'm gonna go stay at her friend's house, and I was like, yes,
she's
Dana.
Like, I'm out.
I would
Fuck
be too.
This. I'm
Fuck
out.
this. Fuck Carol Ann. I'm getting out of here.
Screw you guys. I'm leaving.
I'm leaving home.
Yep.
Screw you guys. I'm leaving home. They turn the TV on and a recorder. Diane dressed up a bit for them to come over. She's got got her hair done and stuff. It like puts you back there where it's like, oh yeah, these people have to like shower and shit.
Yes.
And eat.
That's right.
While their house is haunted.
And their daughter is missing.
And to your point, Rachel, now they can't just leave because now Carol Ann is fucking stuck there.
That's right.
They try to call upon Carol Ann. Buzz whimpers and stands up in the other room. He gets on his two hind legs again, and that's like their signal.
My assumption is she was in there.
Oh,
because I have a feeling there's like a parallel of the house, but it's not like the same. So she's confused and she feels like she's not home, but she is.
She's
home.
In the upside down.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking it's like upside downish. We don't get to see it, but I have
I'm
wondering if it's like that, or if it's like really empty and you only get to see like some objects, but they're really like you can't really see them, and it just feels like you're in this mist constantly. That's kind of what I'm assuming too.
It's like the end of Harry Potter, where Harry and Dumbledore,
but like the
King's Cross Station.
But you can't see King's Cross. Like you only see objects from it, and they're like barely there. That's what I'm imagining. So yes, and no.
I don't know what I meant by this. I wrote a couple Spielberg-esque shots in this section. I think because zoom-ins on people's faces or reaction shots of what's going on.
Yeah, it goes to like each person to get the reaction.
Yeah. Felt very Steven Spielberg to me. She says, "Hello, Daddy." And he says, "Hi, sweet pea," or whatever he calls
he looks like so upset. Like, yeah, I have to say hi, and I don't want to have to say hi to the voice of my daughter.
Dana can't handle it. Dana's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
She like grabs her head. Like, I hate this. I hate this so much.
Yeah, Dana goes through some shit, and Dana's gonna need. I mean, they're all gonna need. They're all gonna need some therapy, but Dana needs some therapy for sure. They say something about a light. I can't remember who brings up the light. Carol Ann might say like, "Are you in the light?" or something like that.
She says, "I'm afraid of the light, Mommy." And then that's when she's like, "Can she see a light? Tell her not to go to the light."
Yeah. Dr. Lee is like, tell her not to go. Tell her to stay the fuck away from that light.
Right.
Like, she is like adamant. Make sure she does not go to that light.
Mm-hmm. Because the mom goes, maybe it's a way out. Maybe you could go that way. And she's like, no. Tell her no. Don't go to the light.
This is when she said, the one doctor is like, it could be a CB transmitter or something. Like, this could be a hoax, and they've just got the kid in another room, like, saying things, and they're, like, playing pretend, and Dr. Lee is like, this is not a fucking hoax.
Right.
And as she says this, a portal suddenly opens
like
up in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And jewelry falls out.
Yes.
And Carol Ann says, someone else is here, someone's coming to get her, and then there's growling.
That's so creepy.
And then Diane calls whoever is going to get her a bastard. And she's just a baby!
I mean, she's distraught. It's understandable.
She is distraught. She is like Moaning Myrtle, who would have stopped those ghosts.
Oh,
I think she would have stopped the beast in her tracks.
Probably. Yeah. I could see it.
Because Moaning Myrtle is a pain in the ass. Like, the beast would have been like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm not going to deal with this. there's like sounds of like footsteps like running.
Yes.
And then she fades away. So Diane looks up the stairs, and then the wind
that's what it
whooshes.
Sounds like, right? It sounds like the stairs.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why Diane goes that direction, and then Carol Ann moved through her. She could smell her or feel her or something like that. Mm-hmm. And this all just seems so traumatic. And Dr. Lee is like worried. She just looks like incredibly worried. Like, holy fuck, this is like above my knowledge at this point.
But I mean, at least she's like seeing what's happening, so they're not alone, you know? And the mom, I mean, the way she's like shaking and going, oh my God, I felt her. Like, she is here. She's definitely here to like smell her. She's here. It's kind of awful, like, to see how, like, what they're having to go through.
Well, it's supposed to be. That's the idea. You're supposed to feel for them.
Yes, I do.
There's a growl. There's a growl and a roar, and it blows them all down. And then there's static again. Where was she playing when she disappeared? And they were like, the bedroom closet, probably.
Well, she wasn't playing. Okay, there was a tornado that was happening, and she was sucked into the closet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised that he doesn't say it like that. Like, he's like, first of all, she wasn't playing. None of us were playing. The kid was traumatized by being sucked out of his bedroom by a tree, and then she was sucked into the closet. Like, I feel like at that point, I would just be like, screw this.
So Michael Bolton Doctor goes into the bedroom.
Yes. We don't see this.
He's like, all right, I'll go investigate. And Steven is like, they're not going to let him in there. They don't let anybody in there. And he comes back with a bite taken out of him. This big bite radius taken out of him. And Robbie's reaction of, whoa!
Yes.
It's always stuck with me. Just because it's like it's a kiddish reaction. It's not like bad or anything. It's just very
it's
like...
just very a child saying something. Yeah.
Dr. Lee is like, maybe we should spend the night downstairs. I heard that in the original script that this movie was a lot gorier because it's Tobe Hooper, and the bite had blood on it and stuff. Like it was actually like a physical bite.
Because it looked shiny, and the guy touched it.
Any of this fucking goo was the entire time. And you're right, it's ectoplasm.
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 Yeah, this is the whisper scene.
The family's
ASMR scene.
This fucking scene. All right. For the next 10 minutes, I'm just going to do the podcast like this. Because that's what the movie is like.
Yes, because it's quiet time. It's nighttime. And even though everybody does wake up except for Dana, they all whisper the entire time.
Dana left.
Oh, Dana left. So everybody's awake, but everybody keeps whispering.
Yeah, so this is when you're supposed to take a nap during the movie, and no joke, the next like 5 to 10 minutes is all in whispers.
Yes.
I'm glad that I turned my captions on, because they all do this, and they all are like, could it be biolocation? It could be biolocation.
How about outer space? We could think about like it goes all the way to outer space.
Like inner space. She says she's embarrassed about how like all of this looks and stuff, and she's like, "What? Why would you be embarrassed? I'm fucking freaked out too." And she's like, it's not like I have a license or a master's degree in this. She's like, this is a hobby. So like we learned that
she's a psychiatrist.
Hobbyist.
She's a psychiatrist.
Yeah, she's a psychologist.
And this is something that psychologist. And this is something that she also studies on the side. This is like her main thing now. But it's not like a real thing in college.
Yeah. She's got a podcast, the 2020s, where she talks about stories about ghosts, and
she goes on paranormal investigations.
She's got a very dedicated fan base that listens to her all the time. It's small, but it listens to her, and she's got this as a hobby. Yeah, she's like, this is what I like to do. So she's like, I think this is fucking stupid too, but this is what I do. And she gives Diane a flask
of something strong.
We get more whispering now.
Yes.
This time it's between Robbie and Dr. Lee, because he's asking about the afterlife. And Dr. Lee's like, don't worry about it, child. We're going to tell her to take care of your sister.
Well, because he was like wondering can he come back as a ghost? Am I going to be trapped like my sister? And it's like, no, it doesn't always happen. You know?
They go through a lot of...
And your sister isn't supposed to be where she is. She's still living.
Yeah. They go through a lot of the psychology of this, where they're like talking about that for what they describe as ghosts is the general idea of what I think pop culture describes as ghosts, which it's like these people that are dead, but they don't realize that they're dead, so they just kind of...
They don't know that they can move on, and so they continue to do the things that they think they're doing.
Or they just kind of mosey around.
Right.
Like fucking bums. Get a job, god damn it! Yelling at the ghosts to get a job.
He just starts hearing banging and clanging downstairs.
And it's like, fuck, not that kind of a job. Again, as I have said, ghosts don't want to haunt a condo. That's a terrible life for a ghost. You want to be in like a big house.
Don't say that.
It's fun.
Don't say that. You know what? Luckily, my house never felt like something was haunting it, so I'm good. I'm good.
You know, though, that's what I think is interesting about the setting. I think that's why they have the setting where it is, because I think a lot of these hauntings were always like big mansions or Gothic Victorian houses on the East Coast. So like now it's like, no, this is a brand new suburban house, freshly built.
Your house.
If it was built on top of a graveyard.
You don't know. I've looked at some haunted houses lately. I swear to God, they look like haunted houses.
I suppose so. Dr. Lee says that the light is like where all the answers are, and you become part of the next life when you walk into it. So they established that, and that's why she was telling Diane not to let her walk into the light, which we know.
Sure. Which
has become part of pop culture, of course, too. The lighting in this scene is all good, and it gives us the exposition of all the rules to set us up with the last half hour of the movie. She says that they resist going into the light. They just hang out. They just hang out on street corners, houses,
they watch
bus
their
stops,
friends grow up.
Subways.
They watch TV.
I would watch TV. Shit. I get a lot of shit done.
That's
a lot of stuff would be crossed off the list.
You could have a podcast as a ghost.
You could just take over one of those frequencies on the radio.
That's right. There it is. Got your own radio station and everything.
I think that's probably what I would do. I'd be like, look, I didn't get the list done. I'm just going to put it out there.
So just so everybody knows, we're going to be on a specific frequency, and we'll let you know which one it is.
Hopefully that's very far into the future.
Very far into the future.
And now we finally are getting Robbie staying with Grandma. And it's like, yes, this should have happened like 3 fucking weeks ago. Now, I don't know if they're able to tell.
Your son was attacked by a tree, he's going to Grandma's house.
I'm going to Grandma's house. We're all going to Grandma's house. I don't know if I would have let him take the dog. I think you need to keep the dog there.
Because
he does the hind legs thing. But he does
he could alert you to where it is. True. I would be afraid that the dog gets hurt.
I do like at the end of this scene where he says "Good night, lady" to the doctor. I'm pretty sure he says "Good night, lady" and not "Good night, lady."
It's funny.
I like that. I think that was very cute. Mm-hmm. He says goodnight to Carol Ann, and we move to the static. Sit on the static for a minute, and it's silent, and then the lights go out, and you just get nothing. Yeah. So there's some maximum eeriness here. Very good. Mm-hmm. Michael Bolton is watching monitors, and the other dude, Ryan, is listening to beeps, and Bolton is like, I'm going to go get a snack. So now Bro is just stealing food from this family.
They probably were like, have whatever.
He's going to cook a steak. He's getting like
I know,
a steak
that was,
out. He's going to
fry
that's
a little
steak.
Far. Go get some chips. Make a sandwich. But he's like, I'm going to cook up a steak. And he just throws the steak onto this counter. You don't know if it's a dirty counter. All right?
It's a haunted counter, first of all.
That's right. Maybe he thinks the ghosts are going to cook it for him.
Well, we have in Ghostbusters that did happen. So maybe he thought like,
get some good fried eggs.
Fry up this steak. He's eating like a chicken wing at the same time. I think
so.
Too.
Yeah.
The meat he put on the counter moves, so he.
Oh, this is so gross.
And then the lighting enhances, and the steak gets all grody and like bursts open, and then there's like maggots everywhere on the ground, like on the chicken wing, because he dropped the chicken wing when he saw it. So he freaks out and he goes to the bathroom.
Yes.
Apparently, Tobe Hooper made this even grosser, and Spielberg was like, tone it down. So I can see that both of them doing that.
Yes.
So he freaks out and goes to the bathroom to wash his face. And this is a very famous scene. I do remember seeing this scene as a kid. There's no point to this scene.
It's so much.
Other than,
the poltergeists
let's
are
do
fucking
something
with
creepy.
Him. The poltergeists are absolutely screwing with him at this point. Because he looks into the mirror and starts poking at his skin.
Yeah, like he sees like a scratch on his face. So he like goes to like touch it like, do I have a scratch on my face? And
yes.
his skin starts to peel off. And you get very bad effect.
Oh, there's a slight cut, and you can tell that his head was replaced with a...
plaster of Paris.
Yep.
It's a clay face. And it starts to peel off, and it becomes like muscle and then skull and stuff. And then he goes, ah! And it, zaps him back to reality where nothing's wrong with him. So like you're saying, they're just getting into his head.
Right.
These kind of effects, though, where it's practical like this, and there's a uncanniness to it.
It made my skin crawl.
Because it's real, because it's there. It's not CGI.
Why would you keep doing it?
If it was... Oh, keep peeling your skin off?
Like, the second my skin started peeling, I wouldn't keep peeling it.
Yeah, that's true. I probably would be like, I think I'm done peeling my skin off.
But yeah, no.
Now.
The way it looks, it is uncanny. It is creepy as can be. It feels like Creep Show, like you said. Or did you say that? Did I say that?
Maybe you said that. Maybe the ghost said that. I think that we need to go back to these things more so when it comes to horror movies, because the practicalness of it, even if it looks bad like this,
I bet they could make it look a lot better now.
Yeah, and it sits with you more. They could use CGI to enhance it, but you feel it a lot more than I think you would if it was nothing but CGI.
I agree.
They got all their ghost equipment set up, and stuff starts to go off.
I didn't know if you noticed this. Ryan is drawing. Did you notice his drawing?
Yeah, he's just drawing.
Well, I just didn't know if it had any meaning or anything, because it's like there's the face, and it's like being pulled upstairs to the light.
Oh, I thought it was like Medusa hair. I didn't realize that it was a staircase.
He's drawing the staircase that is in front of him, and there's a big flash at the top.
Okay.
I just thought that was
odd.
I guess it's
supposed to be drawing. Maybe it's again like they're getting into his head, so he's drawing what is in his head.
They're showing him something.
Yeah,
that's
and
potential.
He's not even realizing it. He's doing it like subconsciously. I did not notice what he was drawing. Kudos to you, Rachel.
Well, I wanted to look into it more because I was like, he was drawing. What was he drawing? So then I wanted to look at it for a second, and I was just like, this is interesting. I didn't know if it had any meaning or if it was like a part of something, or maybe it was like an allusion to something else outside of the movie, but I was like, no, that's the staircase. So anyways,
the camera moves up the stairs slowly, and like it's all quiet now too.
Yeah.
So
and he has his
creepy
headphones on, so he's listening to music.
You're expecting something to come out down the stairs, like when you watch it. Like you're expecting something spooky. Shit starts to go bonkers on some meter though. And then a light is emitting down the stairs. And I was like, okay, it's creepy. It got me. It's kind of creepy.
It's a little creepy. Their equipment is actually picking something up.
Michael Bolton comes in and sees it and is freaked out. And he alerts Ryan. And they see a string of light coming down the stairs.
Yes.
The payoff to this isn't as good as the build-up was, as I had hoped.
Sure.
I understand thematically what the point of this is, and we get to that in a minute. Like they explain what's going on, but I was like, oh, it's just a free floating vapor or phantasm, and it's not really like a ghoul or a spook.
Right.
They're all alerted though, and then there's like some orbs and shit going around.
Yes.
And then the wind blows and it whooshes them up into the ceiling portal, and that's it. So they go to the equipment, and then they realize, like, okay, it recorded it, so we can see these things.
I always thought that the thing walking down the stairs, though, did look like a person or like a creepy ghoul.
See, creepy ghoul I didn't get.
Because it looks like it has the shape of, like, a ghoul, like a specter to me.
See,
and it was all, like, free-flowing fabrics, and, like, that was, like, a head shape at the top. I really thought it was, but I couldn't quite see a person.
Was there only one? Because when they show back the recording, it's like a bunch of people. It's like a bunch of ghosts.
Yeah, but like the one that they saw and all the orbs around it is what I was seeing. I saw like a specter in the middle.
I only saw like circles
with like all of the with all of. So I don't know, but I couldn't quite grasp a person out of it. Or a face. I don't know. I kept wanting to see a face, but there wasn't one.
I think there might have been that intention.
Yeah.
Because you see the skull at the end of the movie is like the so I could see that.
But like all the orbs are seeable as people walking. You're right.
When they look at the equipment.
Yes.
When they look at the recording back, and they look almost angelic.
Yes.
They almost have like halos. The kid gets the fuck out of there the next day in a taxi, because it was the 80s, so we're just sending our kids in taxis. Buzz looks back, and he's like, are you sure? And he's like, okay, I guess I'll go. Like, it almost felt like Buzz was like, I don't know if I should leave you guys.
I don't know if I should leave you. I can
protect
you.
He gets in the car and goes.
That's what I've been doing this whole time, is protecting you.
We learned that the jewelry is from all over the time spectrum. Some of it's from like a decade ago. Some of it's from like the early century. It's from all over the place. She says she has to go back to the lab, but she needs to display the stuff that she's seen. Like, she's like, I need to show people some of this. But Marty, Michael Bolton, is not coming back. But she's going to leave Ryan with them. I would be done. I'd be like, I got bit. My face got peeled off.
That's true.
I'm not going back.
Maybe that is why they came after him, is because he immediately tried to get into their room, and they're like, no, screw you, buddy.
You got a point there. And he was more skeptical, like you said.
So he became the target.
She assures Diane that she is coming back, and she's going to bring help. Then enter the movie.
It is a nice moment, though. Like, you know, It's one of those where you're like, I have support. I have somebody.
Yeah. So Steve's boss comes in, Teague, played by James Karen, who I know more from another horror movie down the line. What's it called? Oh, it's a movie we're going to have to do. Return of the Living Dead.
Oh.
We're going to have to do Return of the Living Dead.
Okay.
Yeah, so add that to the list, Rachel. He was also in Congo in a very small role, so technically this makes he joins the Two Timers Club, because he was Elliot's boss in Congo, so he's there for a minute. He just plays bosses all over the place.
He's a very good boss.
But I remember from So this guy is he's got a salesman's personality to him.
Oh, absolutely.
Teague does. He's a partner at the real estate firm that Steve must work at. And he's like telling him like, oh, we haven't seen you around. And he thinks that Steven is interviewing.
Yes.
That's like the conclusion that I drew from this.
Absolutely.
He keeps asking him like, you know, now you take one look at Steven and you're like, okay, he
did say
ill.
You look like shit. So he knew that he did at least look really bad. Because he's like, no, it's just the flu. We all have the flu.
It's the flu. It's the flu. It's just the flu.
Well, because he's trying to get him to leave the house because stuff starts moving around, like the piano in the
piano starts moving around and the lights are going nuts.
Yes.
I liked the piano moving around, where it was almost like the ghosts were like, we don't want this fucking loudmouth here. Like, we're barely putting up with you.
This is one of the people we hate the most.
Well, if any of them did realize who he was, they could be putting the connection together and he would be a target.
That's true.
Because of what we learn.
It's very true.
So Steve and him go for a walk, and they go up to like the top of this hill.
Yes.
And he asks if Steve is happy. They think he's got a side business going on, which I was like, fuck.
Well, he's trying to figure out,
he's got all the electronic
equipment. Business? Are you getting a new job? Are you leaving this place? Because he's definitely worried that he's losing him.
While this is happening, Diane is just living her life a little bit.
Yes.
This was odd. So she's like doing laundry and shit. And it's like, I would not go up the stairs. We're bringing the clothes downstairs. We're pooping in the downstairs bathroom. Do you need to take a shower? Someone is standing outside the bathroom door.
Oh.
While... Yes, even better. You are taking a hose and you're going out back. Ben be damned, you're going to shower out back. I don't care what they think. She walks up to the door and she knocks on it. Probably because of all the ghosts from the previous night, she thinks like maybe they had a spiritual connection or something and she can get away with it. She opens the door, there's shrieking immediately, and she closes it.
Yes.
Steve and Teague are on the top of the hill. Steven's like, oh, it's like a beautiful day outside. Who would want to leave this place? I can't tell if he's like saying it ironically or not.
Well, I think it's more like it's a beautiful day. Like, how could anything be going wrong when a day is beautiful like this? That's what he's saying. The boss is like, yeah, who would want to leave a place like this? It's all overlapping, and like they're not like like, he's not really listening to his boss. Like, he's like, I don't give a shit what you have to say. I have so much happening at home right now. That's what I feel like is happening there.
He says it's a nice view up on the hill, And the boss is like, well, this could all be yours. This could be your master bedroom. This could be your kitchen. You could have the jacuzzi here. We're going to make phase 5 right here.
Right.
Right on the top of this hill. And this is where we learned that he's responsible for $70 million in sales.
That's ridiculous.
Which is outrageous. Cannot imagine what his commission is on that. But Rachel, let's just say.
Oh boy. He's crunching numbers.
How much do you think a real estate agent makes in commission on a house? Like 1 to 3%, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
5.5% was the normal. Let's just say it's 3% because
let's say they get. I was going to say yeah. Let's put it down a little bit.
So what did I say? It was 7 million or 70 million? I don't know if that's over a long span of time or not, but let's say 70 million. That is $2.1 million.
Whoa!
So
yeah, they're in California.
They're not poor. Yeah, they're in California.
Those houses are expensive.
Were they expensive 40 years ago?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Okay. This is where you get the reveal then that behind them is this huge ass cemetery.
Right. Because he goes, not much room
Steven's
for
like,
a pool.
Yeah, there's not much room. There's a cemetery right here.
Right.
And he's like, we'll just move the cemetery. We'll relocate it.
Just like we did before.
This is when Teague says, this isn't ancient tribal burial ground or anything. We've done it before.
Yeah,
and Steven's like,
it's just a cemetery.
When? And he's like, down there. 76. So they just keep moving the cemetery up this hill.
Yes.
Steven tries to keep his cool because he's like, well, I guess it's fine. Like, there's no, like, why would there be a problem? I guess I can't think of a reason that this would cause anything supernatural haunting to happen. You know, maybe somebody could complain, and they're like, well, we're just going to move it 5 miles down the road. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, they just
like,
go visit their family up there.
And T goes like, nobody's complained until now. He realizes, like, why does it bother you so much?
Right.
Hey, Rachel. How do you feel about stealing movies? Because one's about to happen. Yes. I could also say, how do you feel about stealing shows? Because one's about to be taken.
All right. Let's steal. I mean, let's talk about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Tangina Barrons, played by the late, great Zelda Rubinstein. I had a smile on my face the second that she walked into this fucking house.
Oh, yeah. She's such an interesting woman. I love her.
The big reveal is that apparently there's a deleted scene where Dr. Lee is talking to, like, the head of her department at the college.
Okay.
And she says that, or one of them comes up with the idea that, like, you're going to need Tangina. Dr. Lee is like, she's so melodramatic. She's so over the top or something like that. And they're like, yeah. And do you see what's going on in the house? So that's how, like, they end up getting Tangina. Rachel, you want to describe her for the folks at home that for some reason do not know who we're talking about?
Oh, sure. She is a small woman, so she's very, very short. I would say...
I think she's a little person.
Do you think so? I didn't think she was that small. She looks older, so she has, like, the rounder face and, like, the jowls and everything. Her hair is kind of poofy brown, and she's got this very high-pitched voice.
She's a little person, yeah.
Oh, she is.
She's 4'3".
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought she was, like, 4 foot. That's literally what I was about to say. So she's like, so she is very short.
But the thing about her mouth that everyone knows is the voice that she has. And I think that's her real voice. She's playing it up a little bit in the movie because she talks like this, child. Gonna do this. We're gonna get rid of this ghost.
Yes.
We're gonna clean this house.
It's like southern and soft and high-pitched.
This character is phenomenal.
Oh, she's
I
fantastic.
understand that part of the reason that everyone probably loves it is because that it's been made fun of to death. But the reason that it's been made fun of to death is because of how iconic she has made this fucking character.
Absolutely.
This is Poltergeist. If you think Poltergeist, you think Carol Ann saying they're here, and you think Zelda Rubinstein as Tangina Barrons.
That's right.
This medium. She's even got on like a southern like dress almost. She feels like she's from a different century, this woman that walks in here.
Maybe that's what she's channeling.
They're walking around the house, and she says, Y'all mind hanging back? You're jamming my frequency.
I do love that. She's a bit sassy. It's fantastic.
I was on vacation in Puerto Vallarta with a 30-year-old pool boy, and y'all made me come here, cut me short. You know how hard it is for someone like myself to go to Vegas on a winning gambling spree and be able to get to Puerto Vallarta with a 30-year-old pool boy? Need to cut this short, y'all. Steven, I realize that you're a Rams fan. I'm a season ticket holder, y'all. After this is all over, we're gonna go to a game together, split ourselves a pint of beer. You can literally come up with I'm sorry, folks at home, my gain keeps going up because I keep whispering in this episode. You can literally say whatever you want in Zelda Rubinstein voice, and
yes.
It will not be funny. I was watching Batman The Dark Knight the other day, and I got this idea that one of the ghosts might be the Joker, y'all. I'm gonna have to talk to the Joker. Why so serious, y'all? This is supposed to be fun. Go toward the light. Robbie, I saw that you're a big Star Wars fan.
You're a big
I'm a big
Star
fan
Wars
of
fan,
that
aren't you,
Darth
Robbie?
Vader. Luke, I am your father, child. It just makes everything better. I could do this all night, and I kind of want to.
He really could. Kevin's just going to do an after credits of him just doing bits where he's saying things that she does. Just wait until after the end of this episode is just Kevin just doing more bits. So just, if you want it, it'll be there. Don't worry about it.
I once had an affair with a priest back in Georgetown. It was sexy, y'all. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. She stands in the room and she meditates for a minute, and then she walks up the stairs and then runs up the stairs.
She goes very quickly.
Steven makes fun of her, calls her a lollipop guild. What were the little people called?
The Munchkins.
Munchkin, thank you. He makes a Munchkin gag.
Yes. But he also thinks she's a hoax.
She thinks that she's a fraud, yeah. He tests her. He stands there, and she's like, y'all tell me which room this is? Or whatever she asks.
What room do we have to go to?
And Steven doesn't say anything. He stands there, and he's trying to get her to read his mind.
He's thinking very hard.
Yeah, and she's like, she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. So, like, clearly, she's a fraud.
I do love when she comes over, and she goes, I am addressing the living.
Yes, I love that.
Such a good line.
I am addressing the living.
I am addressing the living. She's a sassy woman. Fucking love her.
She's so good in this role. I don't know how they found Zelda Rubinstein, but she just makes this role so lived in. I want a TV show with this character going on all sorts of adventures.
Oh my god, I would love to see her doing more shenanigans with ghosts.
But she does think that she's a quack. I listened to a podcast, Rachel, that they cover this. I didn't listen to it recently because I didn't want to get what they were talking about in my head, but I remember one thing that stuck with me was they thought it was, it's a small podcast. I Finally Watched is what it's called. They're just like two guys that made a podcast. And they finally watched Poltergeist. They debated if she was a fraud or not. I think it's very clear that she is not a fraud.
Oh, she's not.
I think that she's very much a real deal medium. Or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So he does answer then. He goes, yeah, it's my son and daughter's room. They think it's the heart of the house. And they start whispering to each other. Like,
yeah, Steven turns to Dr. Lee and is like, she's not the real deal. Like, she's a quack. Dr. Lee says Tangina Barrons is extraordinary. Or what it was extraordinary and blah, 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 blah. And in the middle of this, she comes back out and she goes, I am.
Yes.
I was trying to answer her with my mind, and she couldn't hear me. No, I thought you said this Tangina Barrons was an extraordinary clairvoyant.
I just don't like trick answers.
So she's like, I knew that you were fucking with me, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
and
don't
then
do
she
that.
like goes back. In my notes, I wrote, good stuff. Give her the fucking Oscar. She should be given...
That's it. That's all we needed. Thank you.
Yep, that was it. That was it. It shouldn't have been a fucking race. It was right there. She asked Diane to come here, child. And she gives explaining the situation. Tells her that Carol Ann is alive, and she needs Diane's faith and love to get through this. And they have to do everything that she asks, even if it's contrary to her belief. And she makes, gather round, y'all.
Yes.
Tangina's going to tell you a little story. So we get the whole idea here. Carol Ann's a living presence. She attracts the others. She has a strong life force. These souls are not aware that they've passed. And if they go to the light, they'll go to the next plane. And Carol Ann has to help them.
Yes. That is what she thinks. I feel like forcing a child to help ghosts go to the light, not the best choice.
I don't think that's what she wanted to have happen, but they're like...
She's like, no, they have to get to the light because of the way that they're pulling her in.
So the only way that you're going to be able to get this house clean is if, like, Carol Ann is able to, like, get them to go that way. Because they don't know where they are, but they can sense Carol Ann, and they're like, something's different about this one.
And
so
she's
we have to, like, follow that
and
one.
Warmer than the light, which scares them.
There's some consternation by fans as to how, when she says that she can only hear her mom, that in the next scene, Steven's shouting for Carol Ann and she hears Steven. I always interpreted it as she wants her mother more.
She's listening to her mom. She's just listening for her mom. She wants her mom. That's exactly what it is. And that's why when she's like, well, who's the disciplined one? And she goes, I don't give a shit if you don't actually hurt her, but she scares you a little bit more because you discipline her, because you yell at her, right? Then yell at her. That's what she's looking for. She wants her dad to be like mean dad. And that's why she says him.
She says, hold on to yourselves, which I just thought of another Steven Spielberg movie where it's hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
Now I just wanted Zelda Rubinstein to be playing the Samuel Jackson character in that and being like, hold on to your butts, y'all. Gonna have to restart the oh no, I've been eaten by a raptor child. Now I'm a ghost in the Jurassic Park.
Oh, I can help all the dinosaurs ghosts.
Just gotta kill these dinosaur ghosts.
T-Rex into the light.
Y'all wouldn't let them go. You made them into clones. That's the problem, y'all.
Then now they gotta get into the light. And it's not a meteor. It's gotta be a light.
She says that there's a terrible presence, too. It punched a hole into this world, which I think was supposed to be the bed frame.
Okay.
And keeps Carol Ann close. Lies to her. Using her to restrain the others. She thinks it's another child.
Carol Ann
can see this as a child.
Yes. Well, that's typically what a demon would do. Which I don't know if that's why they're trying to stay away from saying the word demon, and it's just like a bad entity.
Well, they're inferring that it's the devil.
Oh, are they?
She says it's the beast. Well, what do you think?
Well, the beast, it's a demon.
I would say devil. When someone says the beast,
well, the beast. I mean, but it could still just be a demon of some sort,
like an associate.
Yeah,
of
one of his
devil,
demons.
Because it's like it's part of the beast. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
But I understand what you're saying. I that's fine.
that's fine.
But I just figured they were trying to stay away from saying the word demon.
Do you think that there was some sort of connotation to do that? Like,
maybe
as to like why they would have to not say that?
I don't know, because it doesn't get super biblical, but they do say devil.
No.
But I guess a devil, but do they? You just said they said devil.
They don't.
No, they
say the beast. But in my
so maybe that's what they're trying to do is then stay away from it.
I suppose
because like, to me it just meant demon, which just means like a bad entity, a bad thing.
I think that this is another like thing that they always do though, where they're like, oh, it's not really the devil; it's somebody working for the devil. It's a thing working for the devil. So it's like it's the beast. I think it's supposed to be like it's an evil entity. So yeah, same difference. All right, fine. Splitting hair.
I mean, it could be the devil himself, but I mean, the devil himself just hanging out in your house, that seems kind of crazy. I don't know why.
Maybe he gets hands-on sometimes. I don't know.
I could.
Maybe he gets bored or something. You know, I don't know.
I'm just saying. No, it's fine. Don't get offended. Jeez.
He gets kind of bored, y'all. He comes up here every once in a while, takes over a little 12-year-old's room. Ain't good. It all ain't good, y'all. And you see that they're all shocked that there is an evil entity, which, like, no fuck. I mean, what do you think has been going on for the last 4 weeks? Zelda realizes it's going to be tough. But then she gets the badass line, because she goes, let's go get your daughter.
Yeah. Like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Some badass music should
Tangina.
start. I want, like, montage.
She's blessing holy water off to the side.
That's right. They ask her if that's not what I want. I want the stronger one. Like, they put in like a squirt gun.
They're getting rope ready. Well, they do write on the tennis balls and stuff.
They do.
So the exorcism begins here. They call for Carol Ann upstairs, and it's not going well. Tangina says, she's restrained. And they fight about who does the punishment, and they're like, you gotta get angry with her. And Tangina goes, tell her that if she doesn't say hello to you, she's gonna get a spanking.
I don't spank my kids. I don't care. Like, she's like, I don't care.
Yeah, because it's like, Steven, now's not the fucking time. Now is not the time to be defending or pretend like, oh, I wouldn't hit the kids. I don't know what like, it's like, look, buddy, I don't care if you beat them with a fucking rod. This is not the time for this.
She's like, just tell her you're pissed and that she needs to talk to you.
So eventually this does work because Steven is saying, like, if you don't answer your mother, you're going to get a real spanking for the both of us. And then she does finally answer.
Both of us. Because he had to be like, it's not just me. It's not just me. I'm not the bad guy. That's mean. He doesn't want to be the bad guy.
I would have kind of loved if when in like a parody of it, if after she said it, Dr. Lee and Tangina both look at each other like, they spank the kids, y'all. Pretty clear, because that's the thing that got her attention. Yeah, she wouldn't have answered otherwise. She would have known it was an empty threat. After we get Carol Ann out of there, we're going to have to call some people, y'all. Gonna have to get these kids out of here.
I'm calling social services next. I called the ghost. I'm calling social services.
I called them with my mind, y'all. You're going to lose the kids either way. May as well get her out of here because they're going to be not with you. She tells Carol Ann, or tells them to tell Carol Ann to follow them into the light. And they're like, no, you said not to do that. And then I was like, no, just tell her, like, you have to do what this woman has said, damn it. You both said, no matter what I say, you have to do what I said. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Do not question what, like, you're at wit's end. You have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yes.
This little person medium has entered your home, clearly knows what she's doing.
Right.
At least better than anybody else that you've been able to find. And now you're like, wait, no, we're not going to do that. We know that that's not the right way. No, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about?
Well, because they are afraid, because they were told already that the light means that she would move on and she would die. And they don't want her to die. They don't want her to lose her. So they're concerned. They
say, okay, here we go. And they open the door. And it's a family version of Possession style here, where there's like flashlights in this closet, strobe lights to the hilt. This is something you could probably do to prank someone that you live with. If you got a strobe light, you probably could do this to them.
You need like a big old fan too, though.
That's true.
You need a few fans going.
It's so simple, but it is a nice effect. It's a neat look. She has Ryan go down the stairs, and the rip is opening up in the ceiling. Now, I don't know how they knew that the rip was going to end up opening up in the ceiling, but it does.
Because I think she knew, because she figured this is where it happens. This is where it goes in. She's trying to find an exit point. And she says if that jewelry fell out of the ceiling here, this could be an exit point. So that's what she's testing.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right, because they do test it. You're right. They throw a tennis ball into the closet. It comes out the other end. It's covered in goop, which Rachel explained was ectoplasm.
That's right.
It, like, explodes when she does it. Like, she throws the tennis ball in and it, like, blows up in her face.
Well, she definitely plays softball. She's got whips it.
Oh, she does do, like, an under, yeah. I was a pitcher in my college softball team, y'all. We won the national championship 1954. Had a bit of a angel in the outfield, if you know what I mean, child.
I had a cannon. I was great. Strikes left and right.
She tells Diane to come in, and they've got a bunch of rope. And I was like, it's a good thing that they bring this rope with them? Because it's like, who has all this rope? This is
Maybe
like
it was normal just to have rope. Like thick, like I'm on a pirate ship rope, mind you.
Like construction rope, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. But, well, construction. Maybe the constructions workers
Maybe
had
from
it.
the construction site, yeah. Or Tangina told Dr. Lee and Ryan to like get a bunch of
go to the
rope.
hardware store.
If it's like what they're describing, get a bunch of rope. We're gonna need a bunch of rope.
Okay.
She says to tell her not to go into the light. Go up to the light, but then stop there.
Yes, like don't go in, just hang out.
They throw the rope in. So like Ryan is like pulling it from the bottom, and I'd be fucking terrified pulling on this thing. You've been told that the beast is inside this thing, and you're pulling on a rope. You don't know if he's gonna come out and
you're pretty much being like, here's the way out.
Yeah.
So like anything inside of here is just like, oh, if I follow the rope, I can get out. That's scary.
Tangina says she's going to go in after her, and Diane is like, she's not going to come to you.
Yeah.
Tangina says, you've never done this before. And this is a light and funny little exchange, because Diane goes, neither have you.
Yes.
And Tangina goes, you're right. You go. So I like that Tangina was willing to go in.
Oh,
though.
yeah. She's like, well, I'll go in. I think she also wants to see it.
Oh, sure. Why not?
I have a feeling it's also that curiosity. We don't get to see
To
inside.
your point, Diane never describes what... Like, you would think that Diane would have came out freaked to fuck about what she saw on that side.
She probably was.
She never explains it, at least in this movie. And I don't know if Jo Beth Williams. I don't know if Jo Beth Williams comes back in the sequels.
Maybe it's one of those things where it's like you don't get to remember. You go in, but it's all hazy.
Right. Well, that is
it's like a dream.
That is how they play it. Oh, she's in Poltergeist too. She's not in the third one, but she's in the second one. I think that third one they recast everybody except for Carol Ann. And I keep calling her Dr. Lee for some reason, and it's Dr. Lesh.
Lesh?
Which is even weirder of a name,
yeah.
but whatever.
I didn't notice you were saying it wrong, but it's okay.
Steven wants to go, but Diane says that, well, someone's got to pull us out. So
and you're stronger.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, fine. They embrace. Dr. Lesh realizes she's in a movie because she has like her hand on like her, but she's like almost like, oh, these lovers. Like,
well, I think it's just one of those things where it's just like this family like is going through so much. She's feeling the love,
she feels
which is what we need. The strength of their love.
Yeah, she feels a connection to the family.
Yes. Dr. Lesh actually tries to run in. I'm wondering if she was like, I'll replace you, I'll go in, but it's like, well, she's not going to go to you either, so you have to go back downstairs and help out Ryan. So she runs downstairs, and this is
that might have been why she looked that way then, too. That could have been why she looked like, I can't let her go in. I can't let her go in.
Dies? What if she doesn't come out? She's like, I'm old, I'll just go. I'm wondering if that's part of it.
I'm old. I guess, yeah, we know that Diane is 32. I mean, she's hotter, so there is that. I'm just saying, she looks good.
No, she does look good.
Anyway, sorry.
No, so this is when she actually like walks into the closet. So she goes in, and Steve holds on to the rope as she goes in. They have this tied off, right? They have it like tied somewhere in the room, I would hope.
No, because okay, so here's what happens. Diane walks in, and Steven's holding onto the rope. So she hops in, Tangina stands in contemplation because Steven's like, what is she supposed to do? And clearly...
it's like, how are we supposed to know when she has the daughter?
Right. And Tangina clearly is standing there like, waiting. Okay, now she has her. Like, you can tell that she's like...
Oh, yeah. She's got her hands like in a meditative state. She's sitting there in a meditative state, and she starts talking to the ghosts.
I was like, I can tell what's going on. How come none of you can tell what the fuck... Or Steven, how come you can't tell what's going on? But I think he's just nervous. Because she tells them, cross over, children.
Yeah.
All are welcome. All are welcome. And Steven's like, no, wait, we don't know yet. He doesn't trust her. And it's like, what does she have to do to prove to you that she knows what she's doing? Right. So he starts pulling on the rope, and she's like, Steven, no! And because it's like, not yet. Because she hasn't gotten to them to the point where she can, get them out safely. Right. He pulls on this rope.
A massive, gooey skeleton head comes from the closet.
Yeah, like a big skull monster.
Yes.
He drops the rope.
And he drops the rope.
And they fall out the bottom. They were supposed to be pulled out, but they drop out of the bottom onto the floor from the ceiling.
Covered in ectoplasm.
Covered in goop. Yeah. The monster goes back into the closet, though. Like, it doesn't come and, try to attack them.
Right. It, can't come forth.
The goop, you call it ectoplasm. It does look like Ghostbusters goop. It does have that look to it.
Yeah.
It also could be what you fall into in Sonic the Hedgehog. It does kind of look like that manufactured goop.
The bodies of all of those animals, right? Yes.
That's right. Yeah, which it could be. Dr. Robotnik could be selling stuff to demons in the afterlife. Oh, I would not be surprised about that at all.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I could see that. I could see that. But yeah, they're trying to get it. They're trying to wash them off of it, and they're putting
they get
into,
them to a tub because they're not breathing. Eventually, they breathe. Carol Ann says, "Hi, Danny." Like nothing is wrong, and they all kind of laugh and smile. So,
and they're having a moment.
It's been weeks. So when you're on the other side, I guess time just doesn't factor in the same way.
It might not. I would assume
you don't need food or water.
I would imagine it doesn't. I would imagine it's different, especially since she was kind of in a limbo state. Her body probably was also in a stasis. It was where she wasn't supposed to be.
Okay,
it's my guess.
Because otherwise she should be dead.
I would assume.
They shut the door to let the family have their moment. And Tangina does her hair and brushes her hair back, takes her glasses off, and says
to the camera, literally Ryan's holding a camera
because Ryan is filming her. Yeah, not to us, but to the camera.
This house is clean.
Because of that, I will of course do this podcast is clean. That's how I'm ending this podcast. I wrote in my notes.
Beautiful. Wolf whistle. Gorgeous.
Oscar-worthy performance from Zelda Rubinstein. I don't give a fuck. She should have gotten something. She's the best. She is the best part of this movie for me. Really came to life when she did this exorcism.
Absolutely.
They're packing boxes. I wouldn't even fucking pack. Just leave.
I mean, they kind of are, because it's they are in the middle of packing and the movers are already here grabbing boxes. Okay. She's writing on them. This is chaos. Utter chaos.
And that's fine. The fact that in a minute, Steven is like, if the kids need to fall asleep before I get home, let them fall asleep. No. Everyone sits downstairs in the living room. If they fall asleep on the couch, great. Let them fall asleep on the fucking couch. You are letting them sleep in the fucking room?
Yes.
What is wrong with you?
That's insane. That is insane.
I don't care if Zelda Rubinstein herself walked into my house and said, this house is clean, after she had to do whatever she had to do.
Yeah.
You're gonna put them back in that room? Get the fuck out of here. This is negligence.
It's too much. I do want to point out a funny thing that I just noticed is she's talking to the daughter and she's gonna go over to her friend's house.
About the hotel.
Course. Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Did you catch it?
Oh yeah.
I didn't catch this. I didn't catch this at first. When she's like, "Yeah, your dad wants us to stay over at this hotel over on I-74," and she goes, "Oh yeah, I remember that place." And she goes, "What?"
Yeah. The implication there is that the daughter puts out, I think.
I think so. But I also wonder if the mom is
going on a date.
Oh, yeah, right. But I feel like the mom's like, don't end up like me. You are 60.
3 kids, haunted
when
house.
I had you, I was your age. But the mom also has gray hair.
Yeah, she's got the rogue cut going on right now. Mm-hmm. She's got the gray hairs in the front. She thinks it looks punk rock. I would have kept it.
I would have kept it.
Looks all right.
Yeah.
I mean, she's only 32, but it's like...
Rocket.
You got a 16-year-old daughter. You're old as fuck. You're only 32, but you got a 16-year-old daughter. You're old as shit. She does tell Steven, like, everything we worked for, and Steven's like, I don't fucking care. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Because he's frantically packing. Steven says he has to go to the office to pick up some stuff and to quit, I think.
Mm-hmm. I would assume.
And he says, like, do you think that you're going to be able to do that? And he's like, well, Teague, he won't go to hell for an answer. So she says, like, what are you going to do? And good line. I want to use this one day.
Yes.
He says, I'm going to give him directions.
Yes.
They whisper, I love you. Nice. That was a nice little moment.
Yeah.
Or they don't even whisper. They just mouth it, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Diane is figuring out how to color.
They do say this is where Carol Ann doesn't remember anything. She says she says she doesn't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in a minute, I feel like she remembers something.
I think
so. Diane is figuring out how to color her hair. They're building more tension again. And I can only imagine, because everyone knows what happens in Poltergeist. But if you watched this for the first time when it hadn't hit the zeitgeist yet, and you'd be like, shouldn't the credits be rolling? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Right?
Like, shouldn't this movie be over?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not. And they're clearly building tension again, because there's no score. And they're taking their time with all these scenes.
And she turns on a weird red light over the bathtub. Draws herself a bath.
That's like when you have, like, the thing to be like, this is like the calming light. Like, you put the calming light on.
Red light? I don't know. I don't know. It just feels ominous.
Buzz, of course, is watching her bathe. Like a dog would.
And that stupid clown is still here. Horrible idea.
Why?
Horrible.
Why?
Everything horrible.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do they still have this fucking clown?
I don't know.
Robbie, put it in the closet. What are you doing?
Why do you have it on a chair facing your bed?
Facing you.
What is that doing for you? Nothing.
So I really wish I could go back and, like, put myself in the position where it's like you don't realize that more stuff is going to happen, because you would have had to have been thinking, like, shouldn't we be wrapping this up? Yeah. Like, why isn't this wrapping up? Does the thing with the jacket again, but it slips and falls to the floor. Puts it back on, and then they both start to sleep. Diane is relaxing in the tub. Buzz is chilling. Rachel, I will not lie, because I don't like jump scares. I muted it the first time I watched it through, and then I went back. You muted it? I muted it because I knew it was coming, and then I went back and watched it because I was like, I don't want to get jumped. I want to know when it's coming so that I can. I hate jump scares.
I could time it. I feel like I could time this one. I knew when it was gonna come.
Right, because he does the bed, and then
he looks. Yeah, because he looks up. The chair is empty now.
Which, okay.
Nope,
you have to,
I'm
mom. That's
screaming.
Yes, Robbie hears
I don't
something.
care if it just fell off the damn chair. I'm screaming for mom.
In my notes, I just wrote, "Fuck me," because this is good. It gets you because something's bad's gonna happen with that fucking clown.
Yes, because he starts looking under the bed, which is the worst place to look. You immediately go under the covers again. Safety under the covers. I was that kid.
He doesn't go under the covers. He looks under the bed.
Yes.
And he pulls
Nothing's there.
There's nothing there. And then he's grabbed by the evil clown.
Yep.
And it looks like
it's
stop
got
motion.
Evil face.
Yeah. It's a really good scare. I will give them that, even though I do not like jump scares. But he grabs him and he starts choking him out.
The arm goes around his neck.
Another Tim Burton-y looking thing. Yeah, it looks like a Tim Burton Beetlejuice nightmare.
Absolutely.
It pulls him under the bed.
Creepy as shit. That is scary. I don't like that. A child being pulled under his bed by an evil clown? No.
Well, because it's a family horror movie. What would you be afraid of as a kid? Monster under the bed, monster in the closet. Right. It's effective in that way, for sure. I don't know if putting the covers over the face like you have suggested, Rachel, would have saved him in this.
It wouldn't have. Unfortunately, I don't think it would have.
Diane's in her hotness look now. She's got on underwear and an oversized t-shirt. So I thought, again, predating Dana Barrett in like Ghostbusters look, it's, for some reason had a Sigourney Weaver-esque look to her in this. I don't know why.
She really did.
She did color the hair, though.
She's always in her underwear, so maybe it's that.
It's true. She did color her hair, though. She did a good job of it.
Mm-hmm.
She's looking fine. And then I was like, how does she not hear anything? She's just she dries her hair, and then she like goes and lays on the bed, and she doesn't hear.
I guess true. She doesn't hear anything away.
I guess because Carol Ann is in shock, and Robbie's being strangled. So I guess they can't
it's quiet.
Yell. And then I'm pretty sure the ghosts try to rape her.
I feel like it did. It was trying to get her naked. It was bouncing her up and down.
Yeah, bouncing her up and down on the bed, trying to pull her shirt off.
Yes.
And like trying to grab her like her underwear. Like literally this is happening. So like this is where we discussed it. The deleted version of this scene was more sexually overtoned, where like it's obvious that the ghosts are trying to like sexually assault her. But in this, it's more under the skin. You can.
It's more like they're just
grabbing her.
It's more like they're just grabbing at her. Yes.
They even pull her to the ceiling. They do that. Yes. They do that dancing on the ceiling effect.
Oh
which is
my
really
god!
Cool.
It's a great effect.
The effects in this last 10 minutes are off the chain. They're really really good. Off the chain. Was I born in 1975?
Off the hook. Off the easy.
They are on fleek. Dink and flicka.
Ugh. It's cooking.
The Rock is cooking. What? So, Rachel, what happened here? Did the exorcism not take? Did Stephen pulling on the rope too early cause an issue where she wasn't able to get rid of the beast she just thought she did, and the beast hid from her? He saw that Rubenstein was there. Like, what happened?
Yeah, I wonder if not everything got to go into the light, and the beast still is there and out there. It's gotta be. It has to be that. And they have to still be connected to Carol Ann.
Yeah. Yeah, so like something went wrong here, and they were able to hide it from Tangina to be able to like get this to work. He takes apart the clown. Good advice. You should have done that the second that somebody gave that to you, Robbie. The closet opens.
He's ripping it apart.
The closet opens and then shuts their door with creepy goo. It's your ectoplasm, Rachel, but it's like vine. It's like tentacly on the door.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
To your point, Carol Ann sits there and says, "No more." So she knows something happened.
Yes. She remembers those tentacles. Like, that's got to be part of it. Like, she
yeah,
remembers
I think
goo.
so.
She remembers the light. She remembers all of it. She's like, no. This was supposed to be done. This was supposed to be over. I got out.
A monster ghost guards the door and prevents Diane from being able to get in, and then it tosses her down the stairs, so she falls down the stairs. So somebody's got to fall down the stairs.
On her face is great.
You're giving JoBeth Williams some, yeah?
Oh my god, yes, because her eyes are...
Her scream is very
wider,
natural in this. Yeah.
The shake...
Yeah.
It looks like she can barely breathe.
That's an iconic moment from the movie. So, like, it really becomes JoBeth Williams' movie at this point, too. Like, the last... Oh, yes. If it was Zelda Rubinstein's, the last 15 to 20 minutes is all JoBeth Williams, like, being the mom hero here. It's from her perspective. So, the ghost, like, growls at her, and she goes, like, ah! Like you're saying, like, that is, like, the moment, yeah.
Yes.
They electrocute her a couple of times. She goes to, like, grab the railing and, like, grab a doorknob. They won't let her up, out, anything. Somehow she gets out, assume through a window or something.
Probably.
Because, like, they've taken over the house completely. Diane is out in the backyard. She's looking for help. It's pouring rain again. It feels like that's supernatural,
just constant storms.
She slips in the pool pit, and we get the very famous...
Oh, my God. That is scary as shit. Because they don't have anything in this. There's no, like... bracing in this pool. There's no walls yet. It's all just just a pit.
It's like the pit in Parks and Recreation, which we'll get to soon, folks. Stay tuned.
In what?
Parks and Rec. It's like the pit from Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
Which now, Kevin, remind yourself to make a joke about the Poltergeist pool in that next time we do a Parks and Recreation. Skeletons begin to come up and surround her. Skeletons,
yes,
not always thought of as like the creepiest thing, but it works pretty well here. And as we discussed, they are real bodies. It's a typical production thing to use the real skeletons, so these are real skeletons.
Real skeletons, and then they're having like coffins rise out of the ground, opening and showing the skeletons inside.
The house, the ghost, the poltergeist, the beast, whatever it is like, fuck these people, I'm doing what I want, and just goes on a rampage, trying to kill them all, basically. Or like, almost like, I'm going to have all of you. Like, I'm going to get all of you now.
I'm going to take all of you in.
She tries to get out of the pit, but she slips back in, and slips back into like this pile of skulls, which like the skeletons aren't doing anything. It's not like they're like animated skeletons. It's not like there's skeleton dancing or anything.
They're zombies. They're just bodies. But it's still scary.
Enough. Oh, it's enough.
The neighbors hear her screaming.
And they come and they try to help her out. And then they see the chaos. And Ben's wife, I don't know if we ever get her name, but she's like, oh my God, like what is going on in there? Like something terrible is happening. Like your
children, because you can hear the screaming.
And Diane is like trying to grab Ben, is like, you need to help me, you need to help me.
You need to help me.
The wife is like, Ben, you're not going in there.
You better
and like
not go
is pulling them away. So like she just runs in by herself again, and she runs up the stairs, and then we get another shot that everyone remembers, which is of the hallway elongating itself.
Longer. Yes.
I always loved that one because it was always just like, ooh.
Oh,
like,
it messes with your head. That's what it is. It's just like it makes you feel like
it's
vertigo.
Gnarly. Yeah. She outruns it though. I think that they meaning like whatever the spirits thought that she was so exhausted that like that'll keep her at bay, and she like has enough will to like run past it and outruns it. That's right. She's got that mom strength going on.
That's right. She won't feel her exhaustion and that broken leg until she's passed out outside.
That's right. She opens the door and they're all now being sucked into hell. It's like the beast's mouth is now
I don't
there,
know
like
what
in the closet.
It looks like an esophagus.
It's breathing.
It's gross. It looks alive.
They're all hanging on to the bed frame. Diane tries to get Robbie's hand, and then a tentacle starts coming out to try to get them. And they all grab hands, and for all of the stuff where you said they didn't pull religion into it too much, Rachel, she says, God help me!
Yes.
And they all get pulled out, and she pulls them all out. And then they run the hell out of the fucking house.
Well,
Where
they
was
don't.
E-Buzz?
They
Come on,
don't,
E-Buzz.
They don't.
Oh, they try to run out of the house.
They try. And this is when Steven gets there with his boss, because his boss gave him a ride home.
Yeah, it feels like that was a deleted scene that we didn't get to see. There's a like, we've been pretty practical about everything that we've been saying, but there's a few times like that one cut that we said where it just feels like you're missing things.
Yes.
In this movie. It feels like stuff is implied that happened without actually happening. Even the introduction of Tangina, the introduction of Dr. Lesh, like some of this stuff, it implies things happen.
It's implied, but
yeah, but like
not a lot of explanation.
As an audience member, you're just supposed to be like, okay, I guess they did that, but they don't
That's
really
fine.
explain it at all.
I accept it. My assumption is the boss was like, I'll give you a ride home, and he wanted to try to convince him not to leave.
Yeah. Like, how long was he at the fucking office? He said he was going to be there only for a short period of time, and it's like nighttime.
I know,
now.
it was nuts.
A coffin comes up to prevent them from leaving. Like, it like shoots up out of the ground in the middle of the kitchen. It slams the door. The ground starts to go nuts.
The stairs is like swinging back and forth
I didn't even
inside
see
of
that.
the house. Oh
Okay.
yeah, everything's going nuts.
This would make an interesting ride at a theme park. Would you go on the haunted house poltergeist ride, Rachel?
Oh,
I
sure.
would not.
I mean, look, I'm not a huge fan of
I don't like haunted
being
houses.
jump scared in real life. I don't really like haunted houses.
No.
But if I'm on a
I don't
ride,
like
I'm
haunts.
strapped in, that's fine. They can't touch me.
All right, I'll give you that. Yeah, if you put yourself in the mindset that like nothing in this can actually touch me, but like
they're not allowed to touch me.
the Dementors and the spiders on the Harry Potter Forbidden Journey ride, those get me because they're I don't.
Yeah.
But that's a ride that you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about like haunts.
I'm not talking about. Oh yeah.
Going through like a haunted house. Blah, like I
don't know. I'm not a big fan of haunted houses.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan. I don't want stuff jumping out at me. I
might do it. You might be able to convince me to do it, but I'm not going to be happy about it.
The house is basically imploding at this point, and we get the conclusion of why all of this is happening, where Steven grabs Teague because Teague is like, "What the fuck is going on?" And Steven goes,
"This is nuts.
You didn't move the bodies? You moved the cemetery, but you didn't move the bodies? You son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones! Why?
You son of a bitch!"
Oh, it is a great son of a bitch. By the way.
Oh, there's a lot of anger there.
He screams in his face. He's just like, ah, ah.
Yes.
Calling him a son of a bitch. It's beautiful. It's Craig T. Nelson's finest work.
Luckily, while he's screaming at his ex-boss, his wife and the kids and Buzz run from the backyard to the front. So they must have gotten out through the back door or window or something the same way she got out before. Run into that car. And all I kept thinking was, take your boss's car. I bet it's still on. Just steal his car. It's on. It's already in the street. It's not in the driveway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He fumbles with the keys, and they're all like, come on, Dan,
it makes me so huh?
I wanted Craig T. Nelson to just go, give me a goddamn second! Like, I just wanted him to, like... It hurls another body at them from the garage.
Yes!
To them. They back out. Dana gets home at that exact second. Perfect time for her to get home.
Oh, absolutely.
She screams what's happening for the trailer because they need something for the trailer. So she complies. Thank you for screaming, Dana. She's got hickeys. Did you notice that, Rachel? I thought that was a nice
touch. Does she have hickeys?
Yeah,
oh my
she's
God.
got hickeys.
I did not notice that.
Well, because, like, why bother? But it's, like, a nice little detail.
It is. That's such a good detail.
Those are those things that I think elevate media when you're able to, in a story, when you put something in there that may or may not get noticed, but because it's there and because you meant to put it there, it enhances what's going on in your story and your world. All the neighbors are now outside. The street's going nuts. Shit's falling on the car. She apparently jumped in the car. I don't remember seeing Dana jump in the car, but she is in the car.
He just starts screaming, "Get in the car!
Get in the fucking car! Get in the fucking car!"
Like, have a freak out in the car! Well, stuff is happening now down the street. So everything, like, the entire street stuff starts happening, right? Because, like,
all the neighbors are coming up.
Fires blowing out of the street. Gas lines are bursting.
And then the house goes, life with the Freelings. I really don't have a choice. And then it sucks itself into another dimension.
Yep.
All I could think of was...
I can't make the pop sound.
All I could think of was, okay, Teague and neighbors, what did you just witness, and could you please explain what happened? Because, like, at this point, you'd be like, what in God's name just happened to me? You know?
Yeah, seriously. Did we all just have a conniption together? I don't know.
Well, the boss, the last thing that we see of Teague is he puts his head in his hands, like, oh my God, what have I done? It would have been interesting if they, like, attacked him, too.
They did.
Or, like, the skeletons, grab him.
A burst of stuff, like, exploded into his face.
That's true.
So they kind of did. I kind of wish another skeleton would have, like, fallen on him or something. That would have been great. Lifted him off the ground. I don't know.
The family drives
they went after this guy. It's not this guy's fault. Should have gone after him.
Well, he sold a lot of those houses, Rachel.
But he didn't know. That's not fair.
True. That's true.
He wasn't made partner.
These ghosts
he was
are
supposed to be
playing
partner,
fair.
And he didn't get partner, and now the ghosts are fucking with him. It's just add insult to injury.
And they were going to give him partner because he didn't show up to work. Just goes to show you,
what
folks,
that goes to show you.
Yeah. Stop trying. Stop trying.
Prove how much you're worth by stopping.
Not doing shit. Yeah. And then your boss will be like, the fuck? We need guess you. We have to do something.
But I love you.
See how that works out for you.
And if they don't love you, just don't come back.
Do not come back to Shelf Life and be like, I got fired from your advice.
Well, they were a shitty company anyways. Move on. Find somewhere
even
better.
Less at the next company.
That's right.
They drive to the hotel, and then as a family, they exhaustedly walk into the motel room. They take their time. I love that how much time it takes them to like get the door open.
Yes. They just look exhausted.
Well, wouldn't you be? They all walk in, they slam the door, and then they open it back up. He throws the TV out, and they slam the door again.
Yep.
It's a nice gag to end the movie
great.
on.
Yeah.
The camera pans out, and that's the end with a peaceful score. The Spielbergness comes in at the end here with the family all like together and the peaceful score. I don't know if you watch to the end of the end credits, Rachel. I always do for ourselves, Shelf Life subjects. Creepy laughing at the end of the score.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The Beast.
Kid laughing. Bunch of little kids laughing.
The Poltergeist.
But
could be the Beast though, because the Beast was pretending to be a child. True.
It does give you that creepiness at the end of the score, but it ends on this peaceful note. Somebody points out that it's a horror movie that no one dies in. No one dies in this movie. No one even is.
Everybody
attacked.
is dead. The bad guys are dead,
but they're don't kill anyone. No one dies in this movie.
The one guy was bitten and terrorized,
and Carol Ann was kidnapped and maybe
Carol Ann
tortured.
Was kidnapped. Correct.
But
the mom was terrorized around
no
the
one
entire
dies.
room.
It's just
so they have to
I guess it's just interesting that it is a.
Can I spoil something for you?
Horror movie with no kill count.
That's true.
Go ahead.
In the new one, so spoiler alert.
You can spoil this all you fucking want, because I don't know if I'm ever going to watch it, but go ahead.
Our Tangina character.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
He does.
Interesting. I don't like that.
He sacrifices himself.
Okay. I could see Tangina doing that, but she was too good at her job to do that, I would say.
Yeah. Well, because it's like this part, they're all there still for like that second wave when it happens.
Oh, okay.
So they're like trying to get in and trying to help again. The new one is interesting because the brother stays. The brother feels like he has to save his sister. So I don't know.
Okay.
There's some differences in it.
I think Robbie did want to stay. They foreshadowed it with Robbie. Robbie says in the whisper scene, he's like, if I just had some rope, I could go in and I could get her. And it's like,
I could go get her.
Did they all think like, all right, I guess we'll just try that?
At one point, he does say, if I die, can I go get her and bring her back? I'm like, woo, kid, that's dark. That's dark, and you do need to go to grandma's.
But like you're saying, it does give him that agency or whatever. I just think it's interesting that it's a horror movie without a kill count, because most horror movies have a death or something. They
typically will go with a death to make it scarier.
What makes horror a thing, you know?
Right.
Rachel, we have gotten to that point of the show, as always, where I will send it over to you and ask, does Poltergeist have shelf life?
I was wondering if you wanted to go first this time, because I was very interested in hearing your opinions first. Just because of how awful it was to try to get this movie and the fact that you wouldn't buy the damn thing. So I want to hear your opinion first.
All right. So I will be honest with you. I did watch the movie, and even after watching the movie, I was like, I am on the fence with this.
Oh, okay.
I am really on the fence. I think the second half is very strong. The whole ending is really good. And because the second half is so strong and it's a likable family, it's swaying me to say it might just make the shelf. Okay. And now here's the thing though, Rachel. I can be swayed either way. I really can. I will give my arguments here because it's probably too good for the box. I feel like if I owned this, if I go out and buy this, it's not going in the box. So I think the box is out. But would I watch it again? Is there enough in this that it would make me feel like, oh, it's on cable, great, I'll watch it, versus I'm putting it in the machine, I'm putting it in my 4K player, I'm gonna watch Poltergeist, right? Because that's the key. It's a good movie. There's a reason that it's a classic. The second half is extremely strong. The family is likable. The characters all have good chemistry. The acting is good. The effects for the time, especially the practical ones that they do at the end.
I'm not gonna give it to them. The practical ones, yes.
The practical ones are good.
The awful poltergeist in the bedroom, horrible.
Sure. Because I keep going in my head, would I watch this again? Because if I would, I think it has to have shelf life. The classicalness of it also pulls me to it. So I'm leaning towards the shelf. Here's where I would see it where it would not be. The effects is one thing, but the other pieces of it where it's not my favorite. It's just that I think it's good. Do I need this? And that's where I'm like struggling with it. But I am leaning towards it having shelf life. So if that helps you with what you want to say. Well, I'm just asking if because I want.
No, I was just so curious. I wanted to hear your opinion first. That's all.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning towards it.
I'm also leaning shelf.
Okay.
I'm also leaning shelf. I like it. It's a slow burn at the beginning, and like you said, it all of a sudden it speeds up and it immediately gets into it.
The second something happens, they're like, it's ghosts, and then like it escalates from there.
But you got to get to the second something happens, and it does feel like it's a bit of a slow burn until that point, and then all of a sudden it just takes off, right? Fair. I wanted more build up. I wanted more to be happening in that beginning part.
Yeah.
But I like how much was going on. I like that they're just like, no, straight to the point. It's ghosts. It's got to be ghosts. I'm ready for this. It wasn't a lot of a skeptic and oh no, there's nothing. I liked that it was kind of like everybody sees what's going on.
It's a little different.
Hold up. Right. And of course I love Tangina. She's fantastic. From what you're saying, would I watch this again? Yes.
Okay.
I think my answer is yes. Would I watch this at any point in time throughout the year? Probably not. I think this is definitely a spooky season movie for me, or if I'm like in the mood for like some supernatural movies, would I add it to the list? Probably. I would probably add this to my ghost story movie list. I think I would. I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. Were the effects a little hokey? Yes. Did I like the special, like the practical effects? Absolutely. I always like practical effects. I do wish there was more. I feel like I say this a lot, and I probably say this a lot for a lot of things, but I always want there just to be a little bit more, and I feel like in this one it needed that more build up, a little bit more there, and then maybe don't harshly cut weird scenes.
Yes. The editing in this sometimes is like, what just happened? Yeah.
A little jarring.
But overall, you're saying shelf life?
I think I would give it shelf. Yeah. Okay. I'll put it in that horror section. Now, is it a very subtle horror? Is it a welcome to horror movie? Absolutely. Kids could watch this. It would be fine. They might get a little bit of nightmares, but it's not going to be like super scary horror. Like, you're not going to screech.
That's the thing about it.
Might get your heart racing a little bit, but...
Yeah. Yeah, like that they do enough techniques, Tobe Hooper and Steven Spielberg do enough techniques in this that can get you to feel kind of creeped out. But it's not scary. It's not a very scary movie. It's like borderline like family horror adventure in this haunted house.
Sure. Yeah.
And
that's
where it's just like,
adventure.
I've seen stuff online where people are like, this is not scary. Poltergeist isn't scary at all. And then that kind of thing. It's like, well, no, it's not. That's not the point though. Like I get it. If you're going into a horror movie, you're like, I want to be scared. Well, how many horror movies actually scare you? There's very few horror movies that scare me.
I try to find.
She goes through the dumpster on Netflix to watch that shit too.
It's very true.
Or Hulu or wherever else they dump horror shit.
I will check everywhere.
Voodoo. I think for me, it would be like, can I find it on sale, like a cheap enough Blu-ray or something like that, where I'd be like, okay, I think this is worth picking up. Because I think it is good enough to have, to be able to watch it. So I am leaning that way. I reserve judgment that in the future I might say, I don't know. Yeah, it's not enough.
No, it's true.
Like it's really right there. Like it's right borderline there. For me. It really is.
It just, and maybe for me it's a bit of that, but it's such a classic spoopy movie that I'm like, I kind of want to have the classic and I want to watch it even if it's a little like dry. I want it. And I think that's allowed. It's on the ghostly shelf, it's kind of there. Yeah,
it's on a shelf in another parallel dimension. So that was Poltergeist from 1982, directed by Tobe Hooper, or Steven Spielberg, if you like to believe in that conspiracy theory. Cross it off the list. It has shelf life. Sort of, yeah, I guess that's
kind of there.
Yeah, I never bought it, but if it's on cable, I'll watch it.
We're coming back to this next year.
Because it just feels like such like it's on. That's fine. If you are into horror, if you are into ghosts, if you're into
fun supernatural, I would say this is fun supernatural 80s. Yeah,
you'd probably want it on your shelf. I can't think of.
See, that's the thing. I do like. When it comes to horror, when it comes to like scary, I lean supernatural. I lean ghostly,
yeah, me too.
Scary,
yeah,
weird alien stuff. Gore, it doesn't do anything for me. This is way more my scene.
Sure, yeah, then that's where it makes sense. So, because I could kind of see recommending this to people on those grounds, I think that I can say that like it's more likely than not that it should have shelf life. And I don't think I would change that, but who knows? Like, at least for now, I think I'll say that. Opinions can change on that. It's dangling on the shelf a little bit. Rachel,
it's being thrown around the room by a poltergeist.
That's right.
It doesn't know if it wants to be on the shelf or not. We're going to find out where it lands.
Taking itself off, and I'm like, why does it keep jumping off?
There's giggling happening.
So after all of that, I think I can safely say this podcast is clean. And with that being said, I've been Kevin.
And I've been Rachel.
This has been Shelf Life. We will see you next time, child, for another edition of Shelf Life, y'all. Come back again.
Hanging back. You're jamming my frequencies.